Hello. Oh, YouTube's saying I'm live, but it's been saying lots of things tonight. How are we all doing? Do let me know while I catch up in the chat. Oh, I could be here a while, catching up on everything in the chat. Oh, Debbie, yes, you're first. Hello, Jonathan. Hello, Carol. Still owe Carol an email. Mind you, I still owe Dick on one, and I think that was 2 weeks ago. I'm getting there. Hello, Renee. Right, I don't want to miss anyone. Hello, Graham. Hello, Kim. Hello, Deb. Keep going. Oh, we all in. Hello, Tony. Hello, Peter. Hello, Mark. How's the weather in Vancouver Island? It always sounds so exotic to me, that. You know somewhere else I'd like to visit? Well, I think I would. Labrador, because it's called Labrador.
Because it's called Labrador, yeah.
Do you think there's a Samoyed place somewhere?
Probably.
Hello, Tracy. May not be around until much later. Well, we shall enjoy ourselves and you will catch up with us. Right, hello, Sarah. And have I got everybody? Have I missed anybody? If I have, shout at me. Martin, hello. I'm live. Hey. Did I get... Yes, Debbie, I did. You are first in my to reply to list that I created. It'll all be made clear. Hello, Paul. And I nearly missed Paul. Right, if I've missed anybody, shout at me. And if you've never said hello before, say hello. Tonight would be a good night. On account of the fact that YouTube has been playing with my mind, which never ends well, but YouTube always gives it a try, just in case. Right. Okay, let's do some magic and see if it actually works. If anything works tonight, it'll be jolly good. Oh, you see, straight away I've got a problem. It doesn't want to do that either. Let me push some more buttons, preferably YouTube's buttons. I think that seems reasonable, but time will tell. So let's try that again. If you're wondering, that was Lola helping out. That was Lola's chicken. Well, it's as good an idea as anything I've got in hand, Lola, so you go for it, girl. Don't you worry about it. Right, I'm going to do that. I don't think that worked. I think you're just playing with my mind. I think that might have worked. In which case, hello and welcome officially. How late are we? It was YouTube. I've had to switch to the backup server. I told you no good would come of me having a go on Marooned earlier. Anyway, after being hoisted by my own petard, I'm here. Right, what can we expect tonight? That would be good if that moved. Whee! Right, we have the week at MacBites headquarters. Then we have something new. We have Google Smart Canvas. Let me know in the chat if you've heard of Google Smart Canvas. It's been all the rage this week. Then we've got a rather nice update to Snagit. And I know very many of you are using Snagit because I think we've recommended it that many times and you caved in the end. It's a really nice update. You're going to like it. Then following on from last week when we had a discussion about documents and the best way to store them, we have creating a document library in Notion but also doing it in Trello. Both of those options will be completely free. Then we've got the freebies. Now, there's a little something extra I'm sneaking in there after a conversation on Marooned earlier about assets. But I didn't get a chance to put it on the slide. Then Mike is doing SmartArt and images with chickens squeaking beautifully behind me. And then we've got Pathfinder. Oh, Pathfinder's lovely. There's some really nice features in Pathfinder. But of course, this is the time of the week where we all have a giggle and see what resolution YouTube has dumped us in. My lowest this week was 240. I think I had a phone that did 240 in the late 90s. So YouTube weren't even thought of in the late 90s, but they've transported me back there. So while you're checking that in the lower right-hand corner on the cog, if you enjoy anything tonight, give us a like. Really makes a difference with YouTube. So, what has the week been like here at MacBites headquarters? Well, you know we're always busy on a Saturday. So there was 8 shows last weekend. And it was FA Cup final day. Now, obviously, what's that phrase they have? Skin in the game, isn't it? Mike had none of that, but he watched it anyway, didn't you?
Watched bits of it.
Bits of it. Oh, FA Cup final day used to be fabulous. Even if it wasn't your team playing, it was like the Super Bowl. And now I've no idea. Why is it in the middle of the season? And why was it at stupid o'clock? And why did it clash with half of our shows?
For sponsors.
Typical. Now, traditionally, what we would do is we would start the day about 11 o'clock in the morning and we'd have chicken in a basket.
Lola has chicken in a basket.
Late 70s, my mum would say, you can't watch the FA Cup final if you've not got chicken in a basket. So she would make it. But it's just not the same these days. But never mind, we headed into Marooned and we had a lovely time in there. Before at 8 o'clock, heading off over to Brooklands. Bit of a tricky one this week. It was baking. But I think we did quite well out of that. Including the recipe for andante, what was it, apple strudel.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was good. Right, and on Sunday, well, we started Sunday as we intended the week to go on. Because it was two-show Sunday. Oh, yes, we did Mastering Textiles in Affinity Publisher and had a complete ball, which is now available on demand. Mike should have the links somewhere. Let's see if you can find them. Let's make it a bit of a challenge for him. Challenge Mike time. After that, I did get a chance to breathe, I think. I think it was about 20 minutes. It was quite alarming. I didn't know what to do with myself. But never fear. I had the evening planned. I headed off into book club. It's the last one on Sunday. But fear not, we have an extra week. And I'm probably ready to wax lyrical about taking smart notes if you're interested. Right, Monday. Now, you know I've been on a course for 3 weeks so far. No, two. Let me think, what day is it? Yeah, 2 and a bit weeks. And I've said how intense it is. This is what I mean by intense. That's my calendar, all blocked out, colour-coded for each session. Yes, I'm having to plan sleep at some points. I did wonder, though, what happened to that. I mean, I know it's 1 o'clock in the morning. It's actually midnight to 7 o'clock, but still, if you look at Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday, nothing sacrosanct. So I did actually manage to catch some sleep at that point. But that is how busy I am. So Tuesday, yeah, pretty much the same Tuesday. Hang on, going backwards. No, I'm not. There we go. I was somewhat exhausted on Tuesday. I'm loving that. Mike, however, got all giddied up, didn't you? Oh, isn't it the last home match of the season?
Yeah, it was.
Anyway, it could have ended better, let's just put it like that. And it was doing so well until 76 minutes.
Bad words were said.
Bad words were said. But I didn't care, because on Wednesday, it was my second lockdown birthday. And the day started, because did you see my calendar? Kim had sent me a little something and said, don't open it until midnight. And there I was at midnight in my course. And about 20 minutes into this session, I thought, hang on, it's 20 past midnight, I can open that card. And I did, and it was a lovely, lovely card from Kim. Didn't stop there either. Oh no, more fun throughout the day. Beautifully designed card from Renee and all the gang. Absolutely gorgeous, thank you very much. Talking of Renee, a video as well. Renee and Mrs. Renee. Oh, it was fantastic. And then they all sang happy birthday, which I've got to say, thank you, each and every one of you. It was fabulous. A special thanks to Tracy for organising it. Oh, she must have been like a sergeant major with them all, don't you think? Because everyone would say, oh no, I can't do that. I can't sing. Because that's exactly what I would have said. I was also spoilt to death with cards. So I propped them all up for the photographing of. And live, I opened all my presents live on Marooned on Wednesday night. And the one that we shared was, oh, look at this. This is from Kath and Kaz, Lisa, Joe, and the kids, James, Adam and Dan. Oh, Mike, you should have seen him. Jumped off his seat, came across to have a look. Needed to investigate that instantly, didn't you? But yes, it was definitely worth it, that. And then on Thursday, I got a message. And I think this person might have forgotten that it was actually my birthday because they didn't say happy birthday. But they had left me a gift. And this was because we were both watching Line of Duty. And she said, every office needs to have one of these. She was quite right. Couldn't stop laughing. Could not stop laughing. If you've not seen Line of Duty, that will make no sense to you. But let's just say there's this scene towards the end. It's not a spoiler. There's this scene, and Ted Hastings, who's fabulous, that's Adrian Dunbar, absolutely fabulous, comes out with the line, and it was the way it was delivered as well. But Jesus, Mary, Joseph and the wee donkey. And he kept a straight face. So I'm hoping he gets a BAFTA for that. But yeah, that's got pride of place on my desk. Because pretty much I've been saying that. Words like that were uttered, weren't they? When YouTube decided to create. I decided to give myself a present. And I've been doing so well with it. Now, this doesn't mean I'm up to date, obviously. It means I've created a DMZ. But I'm not allowed to put anything in it. So everything that comes in now has got to be dealt with straight away, which is proving a tinge stressful at the moment. But you can see I still had inbox 0 at 18 minutes past 4 in the morning yesterday. It is Friday today, isn't it? Yes, of course it is. So you've got to keep me to that. You've got to be my accountability partners and keep asking, have you got inbox 0? Without cheating. Anyway, on Thursday, sadly, it was wall-to-wall meetings, governor meetings and things. Have you noticed in a Zoom, if you don't have your camera on, they think you're some kind of zombie who actually isn't there, despite the fact that I clearly am there and I'm typing in the chat. I've noticed that. It was also book club, which would have been grand. You know, I'm really enjoying this book. And the Thursday session is the reading room. Or it would have been. Well, it was for a bit. And then, oh yes, bad words were said. Really bad words. When my MacBook Air died, spectacularly, in the middle of the book club session. It kind of froze, and then I got weird stuff on the screen. So I turned it all off. So it was sat on my desk, turned off. Much, much later. So I think I was actually still up this morning, wasn't I, when you got up? And I said I didn't realise it was that time. At which point, Mike took Lola out. And I thought, what's that smell? I thought, something's burning. Well, you can imagine the rest. When I say bad words were said, they were really bad. Oh, it's not good. It's dead. So that's something for me to contemplate. Which takes us to Friday, which takes us to 2-show Friday, which is always grand. So now we're all up to date. Oh, that could have gone so much better, couldn't it? Not happy with that at all. So let's get on with our first thing, which is Google Smart Canvas. I have not yet been able to see the chat, but I will be now. So let's find, where did I put my glasses? Oh, there they are. Which means I can see the chat. Ooh. Thank you for the happy birthday wishes. Renee's only calendar item is Marooned. I wish mine was. It's a bit busy, isn't it? Yes. Hello, Patricia. Oh, we have a new person. Hello, Patricia. Yes, it is a bit busy, isn't it? And today, just to add to our enjoyment, they didn't send any reminders for the events today. And now we're only relying on the reminders, because we all know when we're supposed to turn up. We're relying on the reminders for the link for the Zoom. And if no reminder comes, it's like, where's the link for the Zoom? And I'd subscribed to the calendars, as you can see. They were blank. So I know they were there because I took screenshots on Monday, but they're not there today. So I had to dash back to last week. Nothing there either because it's a subscribed calendar, which is a good job I'd never delete an email, isn't it? Because the link was the same as last week's, but I had to go and find it. One day I'll show you how many emails I've got in my inbox as well. But luckily, Google search, pretty good. So it's all sorted. It's fine. It'll be fine. Oh, Tracy enjoyed pulling it all together. Excellent. Excellent. Right, let's get going with this. Google Smart Canvas. Who's heard of it? It was Google I/O, and they're talking about... I'm doing screenshots because it's not there yet. But that is a Google Doc. And as you can see, it's got some headings in it and stuff. Goals, pre-work, ideas, things, next steps. Do we do that with a project, or we just get on with it?
Just get on with it.
Just get on with it, really. Less planning, more doing. But never mind, most people probably plan. So it's a Google Doc, but it's a live Google Doc because it's a smart canvas. Is this sounding like Project Mocha at all? Microsoft's Project Mocha? I think so. But this is Smart Canvas, which means rather than just being a document that you type into, it's alive. Not even kidding, it's live. As you can see, when you zoom in at the end, you've put like an idea, and you would put something in the name of it, the notes of it, the creator in it, so you can mention people, and then they can vote on it. So it would look something like that when you'd filled it in. And in the notes, as well as just typing notes, you can see the middle one, Home World Accounts Notes. That's actually another doc that you've embedded in it. When you hover over things like that, that's a slide presentation, you actually get the full preview, which if anybody here is an Obsidian user, it looks rather familiar, doesn't it? They've also more integrated the meetings. Now, obviously for this, you're going to have to use Google, whatever they're calling it this week. Wasn't it Meet, Hangouts, Team, whatever. Whatever they're calling the comms thing this week, all your meetings are in there. So from the document itself, you've got links, direct links to your meetings. And you can just click to go to those. And then your meeting opens up in the sidebar of the document. So they're trying to do away, I would say, with the concept of a document. So the canvas part of it means that you could be looking at slides or a spreadsheet or a document, and it wouldn't make any difference. And the rest of what you need to do is integrated around it. Does anybody else's life integrate as well as that? Because I can honestly say mine doesn't. I'd be thinking, yes, I've collaborated with people on Google Docs via Zoom. So not with that thing at the side. No. It works reasonably well, but obviously they're trying to pitch for everything. So I put in the email, looks a bit like Notion. And yes, they're moving on to a block-based system. So each of those things are blocks that you can then interact with. So I would say it's some kind of hybrid of Notion and a hybrid of Project Mocha, and integrating all the things that they've pulled together in the last year. Now they realise that this working from home thing or remotely could be a thing for longer. It's not out yet. I.O. is where they tell you what's coming. It's slated to be released in autumn, fall this year. Whether it will be or not, and to what degree it will be usable on day one, is anybody's guess. But basically they've extended the Google Workspace idea that they came out with a while back. So let me know in the chat if you are going to partake of that. Is it something you're excited about, or are you like, no, staying with Notion or Craft or whatever you are with? Let me know. Right, okay, let's move on to the next thing, which is Snagit. Ooh! Snagit is good. Snagit is available for Windows and Mac. It's totally cross-platform, and it's almost got feature parity. I think is the thumbnail there yet in the Windows one? Where you drag from the thumbnail? Because that was missing, and I was quite surprised. I started using it on Windows and I thought, where's the thumbnail track? And it wasn't there. So they're aiming for feature parity. What they've done is add a completely new tool. So this version, Snagit 2021, was released initially in October last year. But Snagit have, TechSmith have a maintenance program. So you don't have to pay for another version when you bought the first version, as long as you've got this maintenance thing. That is encouraging them to release what would be bigger features mid-cycle, which is where we are at the moment. What would normally happen without that maintenance is it would probably wait and go in Snagit 2022, which is due in October. But we don't want to wait. No. We want it now. It's the Spotlight tool. Now, this in the Mac version at least, because I thought there was a basic spotlight tool, but in the Mac version at least, this is slated in the release notes as new and shiny. So I've put it on my toolbar and started playing with it, and I will share that now with you. But what I do need, because, you know, I've been playing around with YouTube that long. I had lost the will to live with it. And while I was there, I didn't have my running order because they stole that from me. So I'm going to go and get that while we look at this. So it's not Mad March. No, it's a MacBites. It's an after hours. There we go. And there we go. Awesome. I can see it. Okay. Let's have a look at Snagit, which was somewhere on the screen. Oh, look, there's Renee. So you can see I actually do use this as well. I'm eating my own dog food. But I will take a screenshot. What will I take a screenshot of? Have I got one I can use? I know what we'll use. We'll use that one, which is something that's coming up that's free. So first of all, I'm going to duplicate it. So we're drawing on it, and we don't want to see all of that. Now, I've edited the toolbar, and I have all of the tools showing up there. This is the one application I don't play around remembering shortcuts. Life's too short, there's too many of them. So what I do is I put every single tool on the toolbar. How I do that is right click and customize toolbar, and then make sure that I drag and drop the ones that I'm interested in. The ones I use a lot, the move tool and the cutout tool. They're probably the ones I use the absolute most. But what you can do is, by default, this thing was sat there. And it had more on it, and I couldn't get rid of it. And what I needed to do was actually choose the spotlight tool. So I put the spotlight tool between the cutout and the simplify. Right, couldn't be easier to use this. So you enable the tool. Doesn't do anything at the moment. Oh, Lola's telling me how to do things here. Poor Renee, scary seeing himself. You're in the corner, Renee. You're in the corner down there. Right, the tool itself, there are 3 different shapes. So we have the rectangle with sharp corners. We have the rounded rectangle. And we have the oval selection as well. So you've got the 3 of those. Right, this one, they all do the same thing, but they work in slightly different ways. So let's say I wanted to highlight the fact that this is slides and it's free. So I could draw around it, and when I'm drawing, before I even start to draw, it totally masks out the entire image, and then where I draw, the spotlight is on that part. It's simple, that's it. But you saw me just draw that. It does remain editable. This is fantastic. So if I'm not quite right, if I wanted to include this down here, I can edit it in post, as it were, post the initial drawing on of it. Right, if I just undo all of that, let's get rid of it, and show you, if I do that holding the shift key down, I get a square. It's constrained to a square drawing round it. Right, I tend to prefer the rounded rectangle. I think it looks softer on the corners. She's been very grumbly.
She is.
I don't know what she wants, but can you give it to her? Right, so exactly the same principle, but this one has the rounded corners. So that would look quite nice if it was rounded, but it doesn't quite work because it's cutting off the edges. But when I click on it, not only have we got the sizing handles, we also have the yellow dot. And the yellow dot is rather cool. That enables you to re-round the corners as round as you would like. That's as round as they go, and you can take it all the way back out. So it's very, very slight rounding on the corners. It is still editable, as is the corner rounding. So that is actually quite nice, isn't it? Right, I'm going to undo that one and go for the oval one, which is, as you have probably guessed by now, lets you draw ovals. But it also lets you draw circles. Hold the shift key down and you get a perfect circle. And you can see as I take it up, it flips over as well. So you can get a perfect circle. But it gets better than that. Oh, we're not going to just stop there, are we? let's say I wanted to highlight that bit there with a nice rounded rectangle on it. So I'll do that and click and just change the rounding a little bit. But then I've realised that's great, but I then haven't got highlighted, download it for free. That's a problem. I could do with that highlighted. Well, if you just highlight a second place, it lets you do that. So there we go, highlighted around there. And anywhere else you like. Even changing these as you go. So you can change the shapes and everything is still editable. If you now decide up here, that one shouldn't have been that, should it? It should have been that. So they change as you click on them. So I should have clicked away first. Don't do that to me. Where have you disappeared to now? Okay, it didn't like that. Right, let me start that again. You will work. That's better. That's better. Right, so you've got your highlights like this. But you can even go better than that. It's unbelievable, isn't it? Let's make sure that that one is right. It doesn't want to do that one for some reason. Right, you can edit these. We've seen that you can edit them. But you can actually pull them down and they'll all merge together. And then you can do things like this. Now that doesn't make any sense at that point because it's not highlighting the right bit at the top. But if I wanted to do that with it, you can. So let's get rid of the entire lot and we'll start again. Right, so this time I'm going to say, right, I definitely want that bit there. So let's stretch that out a bit. So we've got the whole of that. And I will highlight that bit there, but I want it coming out. I want it looking quite nice. So I've rounded that one because it was selected. And over there, oh, it's misbehaving. I think we've found a bug possibly. Because they're there, but they're not actually working. Well, while they're there and they're possibly not working, I'll show you that the other options you've got is the background. And maybe if I do that, no, you're not gonna work, are you? Right, let's get rid of these. Right, let's try that again. Let's put that in there. Right, it is there. You're just playing with my mind. Right, so in here you can change the colour, and what you're changing the colour of is the background, or at least you should be. So at the moment, that's not looking too healthy, is it? I'm probably upsetting it, doing it a million times. Let's duplicate it and start it. Yeah, that has actually now worked. It seems to be on a go slow. So I'll go in this one. And before I start, I will choose something in here so we'll have it quite red. And this is a function, the background, of two things. It's the colour and the opacity. So if we draw this on, we've got a nice opacity on it. But you can change that and eventually it should work. Here we go. Take it down or all the way up and actually block the whole thing out. There we go. And you can change the colour and see it interactive. So maybe you want it particularly blue to match your website. Or any other colour you fancy. There we go. I think that's quite nice. I'm liking that. I am. I think the Boolean shapes where they overlay each other is just genius. It's genius. Love it. It always remembers the last tool you have selected. So let me show you that on another one of these. So I'm just going to duplicate that again. So we have a clean one to play with. Right, if I go choose another tool, so the arrow tool, or my favourite, the cutout tool. If you wonder what the cutout tool does, it's genius. If you look at the icons, it gives you a clue. If I want to cut out, say there's an advert across the page, I want to cut out all this stuff that I don't need there. I just want to showcase that, but without that. It cuts it out and you can't see the join. It's genius. I use that all the time. And it'll do it in both directions, horizontal and vertical. And it will also do it, I never use this, but you know, your mileage may vary. You could even do something like that where it leaves it with a cutout. Leaves it with a jagged edge, so you know that you've actually cut something out. It's transparent behind it, so you can put this over the top of something else then, and it looks like a torn edge. Not something I do often myself, but there you go. Now, when I go then back to the spotlight, it's remembered the colour, the percentage, and the actual shape that I decided to use. So I think that's a really, really nice thing. I've broken it. It doesn't take me long, does it, Peter? But it's been that kind of day, to be honest. Right, so Deb says that would be so cool for highlighting areas on genealogical documents like census or newspaper articles. Well, that's one way to do it, Deb, but you've also got the standard highlight that you could do. Sarah says, is that to highlight what you haven't selected? You're not really getting the colour background. Right, what it is, it's called Spotlight. So what it's doing is dimming out the background and leaving the bit that you've drawn the shape around 100% clear, so you can see it. So if we want to draw attention to the download for free button, we want them to be able to see the rest of the artwork, but we want to draw attention. So Snagit's all about drawing attention. There's other things you could do. You could just say, do you know what, it's free, and you could point to it with an arrow. As I've just mentioned with Deb, there's another way of doing that with highlighting. So we actually have a highlighter up here. And if what we wanted to do was highlight that, that can actually put a highlighter around it. And you can change the colour of the highlight. So if you want it purple or you want it any other colour. The beauty of the highlight is it actually passes through the black of the text. A lot of these things, they dim out the text. The text goes a funny colour. Okay, right, how else will they know what to fix? Yeah, well, you usually spend quite a while sending stuff like that in. Right, so let's get rid of our highlight and go back to our Spotlight tool. Everything is exactly the same. So this is something that I've already clipped. So yes, Sarah, I clipped earlier today. It was after Marooned, I clipped this. When you can see from the tray, if I clip this after Marooned, then I must have done the other bit with Renee after Marooned. Someone's a bit behind, aren't they? But yes, this is something that I've already clipped. I don't actually have much on the screen at the moment that I could show you clipping it. Should we put something on the desktop? There we go. Let's drag something out onto the desktop. And then we can clip the desktop. So let's take this in and we'll drag Renee out onto the desktop. There he is. Right, so if what I wanted to do was take a screenshot of that, I would use my shortcut key and I would draw around the bit that I want to form the basis of the capture. And then in here, I would then use the Spotlight tool to draw around there. And it's using the shape that I had selected, but of course I can change the rounding on that, like that. And I can change the colour in here. So we could have that really awful. To be honest, black at 50 works best. Black at 50 is good. Anything else, if it fits your brand, great. And you can move that, change that, rescale that, whatever you need to do with it. Nice when you want to highlight someone on a group picture. Like a mugshot. Yes, Renee, like a mugshot. But yes, that'll work. So this is something that I use all the time. I don't use only Snagit. You know that when, although you could do that from here. That's interesting. You know that I use Cloud App, which is like, there was an app, wasn't there? What was it called? That one years ago that let you do that. Sketch did, but you always had to have somewhere to drop it. But it's a cloud-based service that lets you upload something and then have a URL for it. You can do that from in here. You can upload to anything from in here. So I have mine set to export as a JPEG, or send it to Google Drive, or send it to Dropbox. So if I wanted to do this where I send it to Dropbox, what I'm doing is doing like the poor man's Cloud App. So it says share to Dropbox. The destination folder is public, which means it would be shared automatically. I don't have to go in and do anything else. I have it stop and ask every time, because I put the date in with a Typinator shortcut and then say what it is. So in this case, like desktop. Hit upload. It will then upload in the background to Dropbox, and it will put on the clipboard the link for that. Or at least that's the plan. Tell me if that works. I'm putting a link in. Tell me if that works. Does it let me put a link in? Is Spotlight only on 2021 version? Yes, it's new in this version. The maintenance, I think, was $12. But we did say, didn't we, when we looked at it, you know, really, there wasn't much compelling So they're obviously adding things as they go now rather than making us wait, because that way madness lies. But I also, in addition to Cloud App and things like that, I also use the standard taking a shortcut, taking a screenshot, where you just use the shortcut keys. Because if I don't want to edit it, if it's something like I've ordered something from Amazon, it worked excellent. If it's just something from Amazon and I just want to take a screenshot of it, I don't particularly want it to go into my Snagit library. So I will just take a standard screen cap. There's a million other ways of taking screen caps as well, and a load of different apps to do it with that I use for different purposes. You know, I showed you the text thing in here, which it can be not bad and sometimes not good. You know, I seriously contemplated going to the BBC News page. But we won't do that. No, we'll go somewhere more predictable, like my dusty blog. Right, I showed you an app. In fact, the first way I did it with Snagit. So I have Snagit set up that it will take a screenshot, but it will then automatically process it and take the text out of it. So that is just a standard thing in there. All I did to make that work, so it looked seamless, is that I've made a shortcut for it. So it keeps that, and then if I want, and you can do that, if you've already taken the screenshot and you didn't OCR the text in it, you can do that retrospectively if you want to. But I showed you a different way. There was one called Piker Text, and there's another one called Text Sniper. And what I will say with Text Sniper is, boy, is it fast. You saw that had to think about it for a minute. But if I use Text Sniper, so I have a shortcut for that as well, and just grab that, boom, copy to the clipboard. Where do you want to put it? So if where I want to put it is Sublime Text, oh, have we got another update? Fine. All right, and I paste it in there. It's just absolutely blindingly fast and 100% accurate. Obviously, it can't work out where the carriage returns need to be. So I would have to put those in if I'm going to work with this text. But that's pretty decent. I don't have to fix the typing of it. Now, obviously, with something like that, given where it's from, you could just highlight it and copy it. Indeed, you could. But you all know that I'm on that course. And where am I in that course? Zoom. And without exception, every single one of the presenters says, oh, and here's today's agenda. And everybody scrambles to write the agenda down or type the agenda up. And I just sit there and think, okay, because you can't select in Zoom. It's just like a picture, isn't it? And I just say, okay, agenda. Paste, done. And everybody else is like, can you put that agenda slide back up because I didn't get point 4? So actually, it's one of those things that once you've got it, you just need to think, when would it be most useful? And you will find uses for it. But capturing the content of text-based slides in a Zoom, oh, it's fantastic. It's spot on accurate. And you can then concentrate on what they're saying rather than trying to scribble it all down. So I thought I'd show you those couple of things as well. Right, let's get rid of that. Okay, have we got any questions on that? If so, let me know. Other than that, I'm going to move on to the next thing we're doing. Oh, which is, why aren't we moving? You're playing with my mind again. Gosh, this is finicky. Right, building a document library. This was based on a conversation, which was, you know, you've got your file system to put documents in, but you might want to organise them better, like a catalogue of documents. How best to do that? So rather than do it in just one application, I thought we'd take exactly the same principle and do it in 4 applications. 2 of them tonight. So we're going to start with Notion, and then I'm going to show you Trello. Now, those 2 are very different. Obviously, we all know Notion, don't we? Notion is probably where I would put it, but in this conversation, the conversation ensued with, what if the person isn't that technical? Or what if you don't have a shared account because it's hugely expensive? What if? So Trello is another option that has a free plan. I think it's 10 boards per space. So it's not that limited, you know, unless you're trying to run a business with it. Then next time I will show you the same procedure in ZenKit, which we very nearly bought into ZenKit, but we just pivoted to Notion at the very end. But ZenKit is great, and ZenKit has the kind of integrations with an API that I wish Notion had, rather than this bring your own toolkit thing. So in ZenKit, you can hook everything in the document library up to a calendar as well. So you've got a bill that needs paying. And the fourth one that I thought we'd do it in is Craft, because Craft is just gorgeous. We love Craft. Love it. That's where my running order is for tonight, because if I put it in Notion and then I try to navigate it, Notion gets very upset with me. So it's documents. What kind of documents? Well, any kind of document. You could do this for a course if you just wanted the course materials organised. What we're thinking in terms of is kind of household organisation. So all those documents that you've got, your national insurance number, which is your social security number, your birth certificate, anything else like that, passports, car details, car insurance, house insurance, utilities, anything like that. So, as I say, we are starting off, and the first one that we are looking at is Notion. And it isn't going to take that long. It's not going to be a huge epic of a demo, because we've got 4 to do over the next 2 weeks. Each one will be similar depending on the features of the application. And that's the key with this, depending on the features of the application. So, if I get myself, I'll do it in my Notion, rather than playing around with it. So we'll get that up there, and we will go to Notion, and I will probably, oh, there I am today. Right, now where do I need to be? I'll put it in the private space down here. Looks like I've got untitled already, that's fine. And we'll get rid of that bar over there. Awesome. So this is just a new page in Notion, but the way Notion works is it's a block-based editor. If anybody wants to see this done in any other application, let me know. You could just as easily do it in Evernote if you wanted. You could do it in Roam if you really wanted. Where else could you do that? Evernote's an interesting concept, but you could do it. And what we're thinking in terms of is what you can get for free. Because, you know, for a personal document thing, you might want it separate from where you primarily work, but you're not particularly interested in paying through the nose to make it work. So this is just a page, and at the page level we put our title, which is, it is a document library. Oh dear me. In my defence, the light's off and I can barely see. Right, this is going to be home base for the document library. Because I'm working at such a small resolution, I would go full width with that. In fact, I pretty much go full width all the time. Shall we do the let's overburden all of the features that we can do? Like, let's go add a cover to it. That's not good. That's not good for a document library. But in here, you have access to a few libraries. You've got all of the colour gradients, so you just want to use a colour gradient. You've got the NASA archive, which might work. The Met Museum patterns. You've got this museum, which it tends to use as the default. These print type ones, it tends to like. Me less so. I would much rather it looks something like a document. I can choose to upload something if I want, and it tells me wider than 1500 works best. You could put a link into a graphic if you've got one from the internet that you just want to use. But you've also got access to all of the unsplash options. So there's some weird and wonderful ones. Oh, this looks like the camel. I can't remember what I call it. Oh, Charlie the camel. I did a demo once where I had a camel in a zoo, and I moved him to Egypt because I had some pictures of the pyramids behind him. Charlie the camel. But I don't particularly want Charlie the camel on my documents. So what you can do in here, and this is all coming from Unsplash, is put in either file or document. So let's see what we get with document. Some of these wouldn't be bad. That one's not bad, is it? Lots of papers. Oh, that'll work quite nicely. Right, so I'll put that there just by clicking it. Now, what you can do in here, once you've done that, is if that's not bad, but you'd like to reposition it, you have this reposition option, and all you need to do is drag that up or down. So I actually think it works quite well, almost where it was. Right, so we've got that. You can also put an icon, and putting an icon's useful. So let's try, well, I think we've got filing cabinet one, haven't we? That one, or that one? I think we'll stick with that one. There we go. Now that's just the periphery, and to be honest, that's what most people spend 90% of the time doing, but let's actually create something, shall we? Oh, Carol's bought craft. It looks so pretty. Not sure what to use it for yet. Well, when we've built this, can you get me a link for Text Sniper, please?
It's already in there.
Right. It's not coming up on mine yet. My trusty assistant's there, and Grumbling is sat next to me, isn't she? She's very grumbly. Right, come on. I'll pet you. You put your head down. Deal? Or I'll take your giraffe off you. We'll do more on craft, Carol, and then you'll know exactly what to use it for. Right, so at this point, document library. Well, you could just drag the documents in if you wanted and do it that way. And that's like the really basic way of doing it, but you know, there's nothing wrong in doing it that way. Let me get a Finder window up so I can get to my data. And there's a use, because Kim does like the black hole. The data's in the black hole. I don't know if you can hear Lola, but we can. Right, so I've got some data that I can use as well. So something like I have a mobile phone bill and it's a PDF, and I can just drag and drop it. So on one level, if that's all you've got the time to do, just do that, because that's better than nothing. It's some degree of organisation. You don't have to have perfect to start with. Mike's put a whole range of documents here, so let's drag and drop that lot. So we've got text files, we've got pictures, there's Lola at the polling station. We've got Excel files, and you can literally just drag and drop them. Now that might feel a bit like cheating, and you might think, well, yes, but you know, a database is best. Oh, there she is on the sofa. What else have we got in here? Oh, and the events diary for Province 17. That's one way of doing it, and like I say, if that's all you've got the time for, leave it at that. At least they're there. Obviously, you can build on that, and you can build something fantastic on that. Right, the next step from there is you could make this, so each individual item that you have here, you have a couple of options in terms of what you can do with it. You could convert it into something else. So if I select that, can we do that? Oh, it's not having it. Right, but what we could do, we could put a page in. So let's just say page for Bill. Right. And that is then a page, and you can put each one of these in a page of its own. That might be overkill, but there is the item within there, and then it will open up for you, which is mobile bill. Come on, take me back, take me back. There we go. So lots of things you can do. Now, if you've gone down the route of, darn it, I've done that, and I don't think that's the best way to do it. So let's say we've got the electric bill. So you put in a new page for the electric bill, and you then move backwards. So we'll move up the breadcrumbs. There's the electric bill, there's the PDF of the electric bill, and drag and drop it in. Not the best way to do it, but it's one way to do it. All right, let's have a look at the best way to do it, which is we would need a table. So I'm going to go for an inline table, and this is going to be our docs. At the moment, we've got the name and we've got the tags. What we need to think about is, and this can happen and should happen way, way, way before you get to the point of sitting here thinking, what fields do I want? You know, don't do it then. Do it properly. Do it at the right point. What fields do you need? Now, obviously, you are indeed going to need a name for it. But what other fields do you need? I'd say name is possibly... Come on, let me in. Name will do. It'll do. Do we need to keep the tags? Or do we need more specific information? And this will vary depending on the person. So you may decide you want to have more detail, in which case, let's say we've got date added to the system, because you're looking for something that you know you put in here in June. So let's go add a date. And remember, if you are not in the US, you need to go in here and format the date, because you can't make it a default. If they don't fix that, I'm going to go crazy. But we would have day, month, year. So I would put that in and change the format. Right, what else do we need with this?
Have you explained to Carol what the black hole is?
Oh, I didn't see that question. Right, hang on. Where are we?
I can type in the chat.
Chat's moved. Hang on. Oh, that's a good one, Kim. I didn't think of building it in Devon Think. We'll put that on the list. Is the contents of the file searchable? Yes, Tony, it would be. It would. What's the black hole? The black hole is the system by which Mike and I transfer stuff to each other. So, although we have cloud services now, this black hole concept came from an application called Drop Zone years ago. Was it Drop Zone?
It was Drop Zone.
Right. It came from that years ago. Could you find when we covered it? We did a whole piece on it because Kim spotted it and wanted to know what it was. But before the days of Dropbox and Google Drive and OneDrive and anything else, if we wanted to transfer a file to each other, it was a pain. It was like, I'll put it on a disk and send it to you, or I'll attach it to an email and send it to you. And we wanted something that was just far, far quicker than that. So we found this little application. I think it's still going, but we moved on. And what it did, it put a circle on our desktop.
108.
Episode 108. I literally put a circle on the desktop. And what you could do is you could drag a file and drop it over the circle and it would appear on Mike's desktop. It was fun. We thought it was so cool. Oh, we thought it was amazingly cool. But as time went on, it was like it only worked if Mike's machine was turned on and he turned it off when he went to work. It only worked inside the house. It didn't work if you were outside with a mobile. So this thing improved over the years. Many, many times over the years. In fact, let me see if I can just do, because Carol will like this. She'll like this. There you go. There's my notes on the black hole. It was called Drop Copy Pro when it started. We moved to Drop Zone and here's all the references to it. And stuff that I've added to Mike, transferred that from OneNote. Somewhere in here there should be a usage guide. So there is the usage guide for the whole thing. Down in here. So it's all the instructions for it. You can see there was version 1, version 2, version 3, version 4, and I think we're now up to 5 or 6. So there's a whole piece on that. That is a blog post I intend to write. Yeah, one day. Okay, so that's what is in that. That's the essence of it. But what that looks like in practice now is if I take this beautiful, beautiful photo that we have of Renee and I want to send that to Mike quickly, then I drag it up to Drop Zone and there is Drops for Mike and I would drop it there and it sends a copy to Mike. If we want to prove that that has arrived with Mike, I have a shortcut in Alfred where I want to go to Mike's version of the black hole, which opens up over here and you can see this is Drops for Mike. And if I sort that by date, there we go. Now Mike's got it. And what that now looks like is it's actually hosted on Google, which I thought we'd moved it to Dropbox, but maybe not. If we go in there, there's the black hole. So if I want something printing, it goes to there.
We did, and we moved it back.
We moved it back. I can't remember why we moved it
neither.
back. No, but we did. There was a reason that we moved it back. So there's a Dropbox for me and a Dropbox for Mike, and it all lives in something called the black hole. So go visit episode 108 if you want to see more about that. Right, where did my Vivaldi go? There you went. Back you come. Okay, so the files that I've got from Mike are actually in what I would call the black hole. So I've gone and got them and I've dragged them into here. You don't actually even need at this point to sit and think about what data you need if you've got better things to do with your time. You could still just say, right, that digital highway document, the one that's a comma PDF, that one. We could just drag that into there and that would become a record of its own. If you go into it, there is the document. And I can then say that's the Catenian Digital Highway. So I'm showing you this. It might seem a bit fragmented, but I'm showing you this so you know that you don't have to start with perfect. You absolutely do not have to start with perfect. Because if you try waiting for perfect, your backlog of documents will get that bad. You may never find them again. So just start and you can fix it all later. So these ones here where I've got, where I've created a page, they can just go in there as well. And they will then appear as pages. I've got my standard 3 ones that are blank, But what I could do with that is just drag each of these on top of it. I am going to have to give them a name, but the stuff is inside it. If I go into here, that's my Christmas card list. So let's put Christmas cards or Christmas card list on there. And the documents are inside it. However, we do have one fundamental thing to think about with Notion. And I'm surprised nobody's screaming at me yet. I've dragged and dropped the document inside below the fold. So the item we're looking at is an item, and the item inside that, the document inside that item, is sitting below the fold. Do we have an alternative to that? And if we do, which way should we be doing it? Anybody got any suggestions on that? You might need to know a little bit about Notion to think about that. But there is a completely different way of doing it, and you may choose to do that, believing that that is better. So the way I'm doing it, it can be considered quite manual, to be honest. I'm struggling here to get back to where I was. Why is that a problem? Why is it not letting me get back to where I was? I'll tell you what, I'll try and do that. While you ponder our problem, I will try and work backwards in here, and that's not doing that at all. You will capitulate to me, you will. Let's try that. It's got to be one of these. Anybody saying anything? Ah, gotcha. Gotcha. So don't hide from me. That's better. Have I got everything there? I'm not liking that. I'm not thinking I'm seeing everything here. I'm not. Right. Have we got any suggestions about what might be wrong with it? Oh, you could embed it. Well, actually, at the moment, when you say embed it in what way, Kim? It's embedded within the item. So this that we're looking at now is actually embedding it. It was something else I was thinking of. Something that I thought you might instantly think of. Where on earth? This is proving problematic, but never mind. One option is to put it there, what I've done. And if you had other files that you wanted to put in there, so let's say the instruction for the washing machine, why would that be with my Christmas card list? I've no idea, but it is. And I want the picture of the dog in there while we're at it. That's all possible. I can put multiple files in there, and they will all appear. So if this was my Christmas card list, you know, was it 2020? Are you organising it for 2021? Or is it Christmas card lists? Every time you find a Christmas card list, my mother made one every year. So if I found that and I wanted to keep it, I could put all of them in here. So that's one thing I could think about. But there is a completely other thing to think about, which is a very practical thing. We're building up properties in this database. So how about we said, well, what about the files? And in here, there's a file type of files and media. Ah, cool. What would that look like? Well, that would be at the top. It says files. If I go and get those 3 files, so I'm looking for the Christmas card one, I am looking for the washing machine one, and one of the pictures of Lola, and I don't know which is which. Let's take those. And I drag them onto that field. So not in here where you get the line, but actually on that field. It's uploading them, and it's putting them inside that property of the database. Is that good or bad? Which way would you go? Oh, Debbie's spot on here. Above the fold, create a property for the file. Right, there they all are. They are the same files. I can access them. I can go into here and say view original, but I can also download it. So if it's like, okay, so the washing machine's not working properly, and I now need to download that, then you just click download. And it will download that PDF to your desktop or wherever you are working, and you can use it. So if I show you, let's go to the downloads folder. There is the downloads folder, and there is the PDF that assures me it's the washing machine instructions. Sample files, I love them. Better than looking at a manual for the washing machine. Is there a disadvantage to that? Which one would you go for and why? I when I started, thought, well, there's a technical, yes, that's the right answer. And then I thought, hang on a minute. There are a few issues with this and things that you actually do have to seriously think about. Let's see if anyone can twig it. So we've got Kim going for you can embed it, which is below the fold. So yep, they're embedded below the fold. And you've got Debbie saying you could put a property at the top. When's this all going to fall apart? Which is something you may have to think about if you intend to redesign this whole database thing. Tracy can't see the link. I didn't see the link either, Mike. I didn't see the link for that one. Just whip it in again, can you? Maybe only you can see it. Have YouTube silenced you again? Try it again. I'll tell you if I can see it. Oh, Debbie says something to do with searching. That is a good answer. That is a very good answer. It wouldn't be quite as searchable as an attachment, but it's more practical to do with above the fold and below the fold. I'm not seeing anything from you, Mike.
Right, well, it's textsniper.app. It's an easy one.
Thankfully. No, I'm not seeing anything from you. So is there a reason why not?
You're not seeing anything at all?
Nope.
Not even hello?
Let me go. Right, the last thing I saw you post here, it says macbitesafterhours.co.uk/macbites-afterhours and something.
So it is posting some things.
That was just before Carol said thank you. So if you want to go back up... Oh, Mike said hello. It's all right. Let's you say hello.
Oh,
he's playing
he
with
just
his
doesn't
mind.
like that link.
No, he's playing with his mind. Right, there is a real practical issue with this. Right, let's all concentrate. Right, you've seen what I've done here with these by dragging and dropping them in. So let's get that one in there, and they're all dragged and dropped in. But you may decide in the future, for whatever reason, that you want to redesign this thing. So let me right, after hours topics, don't let young Jonathan see that one.
Young Jonathan's asleep.
I think young Jonathan's already nodded. He's probably had a hard day. Right, Lola resting, and that's the events diary. Okay, right, in a database view, and I haven't played around with master tables and all of that, but in the database view, you actually can see these files. You don't need to go inside to look at them. So if you're working with a lot of files that you would like to download quickly, this is a good way to do it, by putting them in the files. When is it not a good idea? Well, you saw that I have dragged this in and I've dragged it out, and inside it there's the file. Doesn't make a difference whether that is inside the documents library database or not. I can drag it outside and Lola will still be there. So there's Lola, looking a bit sorry for herself. Right, what happens with the Christmas card lists? So let's drag it out of the database and put it down there. Looks identical. Let's go in and go inside it. And they're in there here, which is good, but it's slightly different in terms of where you see them. You add this back, it should remember that they are files and they are attached and you can see them. But it looked like it worked, didn't it? But we'd already put these in. So what if we'd just attached them as files? There's nothing below the fold. But it's okay, the files are there. We know we can see them, they're all there. But they're in the files property and only the files property. So we'll drag that back out again. And we'll have a look at it. And now there's nothing there. So let's have a look what you're all saying. You thought below the fold was a link to the documents. No, they're actually embedded in there. Carol's confused why you need a file on a computer twice. Well, Carol, you don't. If you were intending to keep these in a file system where they're just parod, you know, they're just organised via a para system or they're organised via any file system, then you're good to go. But by putting them into a document library like this, you have the ability to not be married to that file system. You have the ability to have access to them 24/7 on any device that you're on, because you've built this in a system where you can log into. So it's purely for organisation. The actual brief originally was sharing it with somebody who is not tech savvy. They don't want to traverse a file system. They just want to know where the electric bill is and that it's being paid. So that's why we're looking at it. Let me have a look at the rest of them. Kim usually does it above the fold. You can see it on another computer. You'd be able to see it if it was below the fold on another computer. Once it's in Notion, it's in Notion. You don't have to keep a local copy. But the issue that you've got with this one is, when you drag something out of a document library, the only thing, or any other database in Notion, the only thing that is maintained is what's below the fold. If we look at that, there is no above the fold. Above the fold only comes into it in a database situation. If it's a page, which that now is, there's no database information, including all the carefully crafted meta information that you have put in it. This is not as calamitous as it looks, but it's something that you would need to think about. Would Notion not get huge in file size? Not the way it's stored, Carol, no. Because whenever you upload something like that to Notion, that sits on S3 and it has a pointer to it. So it's not actually sitting inside your database and making your database absolutely huge. It's a pointer to it. But our problem here is, as soon as we take it out of the document library, we lose the lot. But we don't if it's below the fold. So lesson to be learnt from this is, if it's in a database, but at any point you think you might want to drag it out and use it as pages, it needs to be below the fold and not above the fold. These work fine. There's the file. The other one was an image, and that's absolutely fine as well. You can see it, you can download it, no problem at all. The trick is, when you add that back to the database, it all comes back. The meta isn't deleted, it's just hidden. There's no viewing mechanism to view it. So we could put in here household, because we want to put in some tags and categories and things like that. So we put Christmas. You might actually have a tag of Christmas for anything to do with Christmas. And that's why I would put those in a database, and I would have tags, I would have metadata applying to it. But if you drag that out, you lose access to the metadata. You don't lose the metadata, you lose access to the metadata. To reactivate that, you need to put it back in the table. If you want to get uber complicated with this, which you probably don't, to be perfectly honest, right? But we'll do this anyway, just for the sake of completeness. If we had another table, which was just, another table, doesn't matter, and we drag this out of here, and in here we've got tags, but let's say we put like a special info. We'll just make it text. And we drag our Christmas card into there. We don't automatically get back all of the data, because the table at the bottom is not the same as the table at the top. The structure's completely different. We open it, nothing in there. We will add some special info though. So we'll put in Lola's Christmas present. Although from a grumbling tonight, not at all sure she deserves one. Right, so hold that thought. Christmas card list item in this database has some special info attached to it, but we don't actually have the data. Now I'm just going to put these back up here to get rid of them. We don't want to overcomplicate this. If I drag that item out of that table, now we have no information at all. What happens if we drag it back into this table? Everything comes back. All the meta's still there. What if I take it from there and drag it back into here? This time the files have come with it. Why? What did I do that was different? Oh, isn't this complicated? You need to understand this. I took it from one database to another. What I did before was take it to a page. So if we undo that and I take it to a page and then take it to a database, you can see you've lost the data. But you take it from one table to another, so you need to be very careful about that. But there is a fundamental difference with it. Okay, so what we would need to do with this to make the rest of it work is just put in whatever metadata you need to make that work. So if you want a review date on it, you've got a date added, but you've not got a review date. Review date or a reminder date, really important. So put some more meta on it, and then start thinking in terms of whether you want this as this view, but with a review date on it. Oh, that would be good, wouldn't it? If we put review dates on this, then what you can do in Notion that you can't do in other systems is give yourself a really nice view of a calendar where you can see everything that's coming up. Whether you could get away with it, Notion's free now, then there's no block limit. So if you wanted to build a document library in it for everybody, you know, your family or friends or whatever, then you could. You could definitely do that. But some people find this overwhelming. Very many people that I've seen. But let's say we wanted to see that as a calendar. We can. And why are we not seeing anything? Because I've just set them to review. I want to see them there saying, review me, review me. Well, you do need to tweak it a little bit. It's saying 7 have got no date. But they have. We know they have. All of them. But what we need to do in here, we've got the date added, we've got the review date. Well, we definitely need to see the review date, don't we? But what we need to do is to go in here, and where it says calendar by, it's got the date added. It picked the first date. But if we pick review date, everything starts to populate in here. So it's a really good way to have this viewed as a calendar. So very, very visual. And you would then know that this view, instead of it just saying a calendar view, right, it would be better if I actually put on that review date or reminder date or whatever it is. And then you can see you're in your document library, docs database, and I'm looking at the review date. And these things need to be reviewed at that point. Oh, Kim's liking this for bills that are due. Well, what you could do is take the principles of this and apply it to any other part of your system. So you know that we have review dates on content creation and show creation and all kinds of stuff. I wish there was a week view. That's the one thing I wish. That I don't particularly want to look at an entire month, particularly the more you get to the end of the month, the more stuff that's on it is irrelevant. I really wish they would put more calendar views in. And giving the API thing, yeah, definitely more calendar views. But we'll see what's coming with it. But Notion gives you flexibility to view this in any way you want. I mean, if you've got content inside it, you could also add a view that was a gallery view and see the content that way. So there's a million different things that you could do in here. You can actually see some of the pictures in here. Now, I think one of them... well, we moved it, didn't we? That's right. We moved it and we put it in here. And there is a picture, but you don't see that because it's not below the fold. This is configured at the moment to preview what is below the fold. So if on that basis we went down to, so I'm going back to where the data came from via the black hole. She was on the sofa. No, she's at the polling station in this one. If it's below the fold, then that will preview. So give it a chance to load. Come on, don't make a liar out of me. Are you loaded? Nearly. Getting there. Oh, it's like the net. And we're there. And you can see there is then a preview of it. So there's a lot to think about when you're designing something like this, depending on what you want to work with. You add those as files. That's one way of doing it, but you don't get the preview. And you probably don't want to add files twice either. But for things like bills, are you going to want to do that? You might do. Depends. So I'm just showing you the options and showing you a couple of the pitfalls as well. Okay, so we have a document library. You can add to that at will. You can then start filtering it. So it won't make that much sense given that we've got so little data. But up here, that would be household. The bill would be household. After hours would be MacBites. So we'll have a MacBites thing in there. Say the events diary, we'd have a MacBites one for that. And what should we do with these? Should we have Lola as Lola or household? I think Lola needs her own little category. doesn't she? And there was a picture in there of Lola, so we'll mark that as Lola as well. And the Catanian Highway, not my problem. I'll have a category of Mike, let him deal with it. Okay, so by putting the tags in, that gives us an opportunity to create something that will become clearer by the second as we move into Trello. And that is Trello works with Kanban views, which in here, when you go to add a view, is known as a board. So I'll call this Kanban, or is it Kanban? Kanban, let's just stick with it. Right, so I'm going to create a board view. And this gives us opportunity to see all of the documents in a list view. Well, not list, in a card view, organised by tag. Now, at the beginning here, none have no tag. So one thing I can do is hide that one. And another thing I can do to start tweaking this is you actually have the ability in here in the properties to change the size. So we've got card size medium. You can change that to small to fit more on the screen, or you can make it large if you've only got like a handful. I think medium's quite a nice middle ground, but we'll make it small. You can also in here, at the moment, it's showing the date it was added. That's not that relevant. Whether there's any files, that's not that relevant either. The review date may well be relevant, so we'll put that there. And you've got a completely different view of it. All of these in here you can work around with. So if you want, say Mike's doing this and Mike's stuff's important, you can just drag Mike to the beginning of it and probably follow that up with MacBites. And if the gas bill doesn't get paid, who cares? It's only tiny anyway. Never have the heating on. But you can organise yourself in here. The more meta that you put in these elements, so let's go have a look at Lola. Right, we've got some meta of tags. We have the date added and we have files and a review date. If we added another one, so let's say we decided to put in category, which I know, good grief, category, there we go, which I know is very similar to tags, if you think about it. But we'll have a category, and categories would be like maybe bigger things. So rather than being like, household would probably be a great category, and then be more discreet with the tags. So let's put household as a category. Yeah, Lola could actually be part of the household category, couldn't she? All to do with the house and Lola's in the house. That'd work. The reason I'm showing you this is we've put one in there. We go in there and we put a category of household. Now I know there's a tag of household, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to delete it. Let's get rid of the household tag. I don't want tags, I want to be extra. Categories I want to be the most important way of categorizing the information. So I've got the category in there. So this one here, let's say that would have a category of Catanians, but it's tagged Mike. So it will turn up in two places whenever you're looking at the Catanian category of content or whether you're looking for a tag of Mike. So it's just a different way of working. The only reason that I am showing you that, and let's say MacBites would be better not as a tag, what we could do with that is add a category for MacBites. So let's add that. We'll make that orange, because that's what I always do if it's anything to do with MacBites. But in the tags, I could put after hours. So the reason that I'm doing that, it could be an after hours, it could be a MacBites Live, it could be a MacBites podcast, it could be an episode of Marooned. They're going to be tags, but the whole category is MacBites. Now, the reason that I'm doing that is to show you that with this type of view, Kanban view, you do not need to limit yourself to one way of pivoting the data. In your properties, you have a group by option. And in the group by, you can use multi-selects or single selects and group by that instead. So if I do that, we now have three things that are in no category. And we have three categories: household, Catanians, MacBites. This events diary is to do with the Catanians, so I'm going to drag and drop it. That populates the category. Me dragging and dropping it populates the category. These two are household. These are bills. So drag that in there, drag that in there. I've now got nothing that I need to see there, so I'll hide it. and I can at will go into here and group by different things, and it pivots the information. So Notion's a good place to start for this, but I know not everybody likes Notion. And the brief for this was, what if I need something simple? And maybe people aren't going to know to go into there and click a view and do this and do that. They want it much easier than that. So let's have a look at what much easier looks like. So this time we're going to do exactly the same thing, exactly the same information, but we're going to look at Trello. Trello is probably the one that's been around the longest, the platform that's been around the longest in relation to this. We certainly started with Trello when we started with Kanban, and we were able to use it for MacBites for a few episodes. There is a free account, and then what I will say with Trello is the colours are beautiful. If you like bold colours where you can see what's going on, then they're fantastic. So let's go have a look at that. Right, okay. Let's get a new...
I've posted the link to Trello in the chat.
And it's come through.
Oh.
Way, well done, Mike. Well done.
I know what it'll be.
Go on.
Doesn't like the word sniper.
Oh, for crying out loud. There are no words. Don't get me going. Okay, this is what Trello looks like. Now, this is actually a working system. It's a kind of point-in-time archive. Honestly, it's fascinating. It's like a museum tour of when we actually used it for MacBites. So what you have, and this is more complicated than it needs to be honest. It used to be much simpler than this. But they've changed what they've done. So what we had on here, these in Giles Thomas are actually mine. They weren't shared with Mike. But this one here, the MacBites crew, they were. So we did have a MacBites board. And this we actually used. So this is what the same information that you've seen in Notion, how we run MacBites in Notion. This is how we did it in Trello. There were some really dirty hacks to make it work. For instance, this was the events. But that is a card. So each of these is a card, a story. But these aren't actually stories. They're up there just sitting at the top of the column. So we had a graphic at the top of the column. They're not actually stories. If we click on it, it's just got an attachment on it and that's it. And we can see from here, there we go, that was added on June the 3rd, 2017. We even know when we were using this. So that's the kind of thing that you can do. Now, you can do much more with that if you pay. So if you want to see this view not as a board, if you want to see it as a timeline, or you want to see it as something else, then you need to upgrade the account. But for free, you can create exactly what you can see there, because we never did pay for this. We never got round to it. We moved before we did that. Right, so what I'm going to do is go back over here, and you can see that I've got a workspace called Demo. And I'm going to create a new board. And the first option you get is you can use a template to create these. So they start with templates. So let's have a look. Loving that from D. How puritanical, what's ridiculous. How fragile do they think we are? Oh, Mike might have a black mark against his name now. Oh, you have to be so careful. Right, what we're looking at now is a range of templates that are available to get you started. I've had a look for a document library and there isn't one. There's lots of things about lean this, lean that and lean the other. There's a lot of stuff about to-dos, planning, just a standard Kanban, if you want to see one of those. Podcast planning, but, you know, workflow for a podcast. Clearly created by somebody who's never made a podcast. But don't get me going on that. Speaker's guide for online events. I know a lady I could send that to, but I can't say any more. Let's have a look at it. Let's have a laugh. It gives you an overview of what it actually is, and it gives you a little photo. And then underneath that, it says you want to see the template, and you can actually go through to a working copy of the template. Oh, prepare a poll. I used to have a thing with that, didn't I? Bing bong, poll time. The idea is it engages, but so does just talking to people. But in essence, this is all of the stuff you've got to do beforehand. And don't forget to introduce yourself. That's happened a lot. Sometimes I've been talking for 5 minutes and then realise I haven't. Then there's the what they've split it up here is your presentation. And I presume in here we actually have, well, no, we have an image of the presentation. The next thing is all about the streaming environment. So how does this work? How does that work? This would be particularly good for providing for a speaker. And then what you need to do on the day, what you need to do after the event, anything that's in progress and anything that's done. Now, obviously, that's not really going to be much help to us, but the principle's there. So let's go back to where we were, and we were creating a new board. But I will give you a pro tip. None of the templates work for this one. There just isn't one. So I'm going to create it from scratch. So let's have a document library. And you get to choose which workspace it's in. So I've got no boards on this one, but I've got 7 boards on the MacBites crew. So I'm putting this in Giles Thomas. Or was I? No, I'm putting this in demo. It's going into demo. That's where it's going. You can choose from some backgrounds. We'll go for the orange one. It's more MacBitesy. But you can go in here. You can choose the colours. You can choose photos. I find the photo backgrounds quite distracting, but you may love them. And then you hit Create Board. And what you've now got is pretty much what you've got in Notion, but with fewer views. So at the moment, it's saying it's a board view, and we know we had a board view in Notion. But you also have the timeline and the table and calendars and dashboards, even a map. But for that, you need to take the trial and then continue to pay. And we want this as cost effective as possible. So that is what a board looks like. What you need to do first in here, and this is very different in concept, very different. You need to start thinking about what you want the board to look like. So first of all, household. And then you add another column. So anything that's related to MacBites, anything related to finance, and so forth. You build a column for it. Then for each item, so what did we have in here? We had household and we had bills as well. So what we'll do here is add a card, and this time this is the bank statement. So you've created the card. You can then go into the card, and in here you have the ability to add an attachment. And that could come from being online. So when the question was asked earlier by Carol, well, why would you do this? You may have all of your stuff organised in Google Drive because you're the techie one. But you might need to share this with somebody who is much less techie. They literally just need to see that something's been done or see the file. And what you can do is actually attach it from where it already is in terms of organisation. So I'm going to say computer. I'm going to come from my computer. And it's going to think about it. So I need to go over there. There are all my icons. Right, so let's go look at the document library. And this one was one of the bills, wasn't it? So let's put the mobile bill. Was the gas bill? Or what did I say? Bank statement, never mind. Doesn't matter what it is. It's attached. There is that attached. And it comes up in this beautiful attachments area here. And you can at that point choose to add other attachments if you want. So you can go back and choose from the computer again. You can add a second one if you want to. Obviously the washing machine shouldn't go in here, but I'm going to put it in here. Play with Mike's mind. Now, what that tells you when you come out is bank statement, and there's 2 attachments. And you can then click to go in it and actually see these. You can see them. So you even get a preview. So that's your first option. You can download them. You can print it if you need to. But you also have in here, let's not click on it, you've got the ability to comment on it. All right, so down here you've got activity. And that link, it looks hideous, but what it is a markdown link. So you can actually put something on that like, do we need to buy another one? Most of the time you probably do. Right, and then what that's got in there, the reason that it was in Markdown is because this is a link. Instead of expecting you with this, so Mike comes in and he looks at it. Do we need to buy another one? Another what? But he has the link to it. Otherwise, he'll scroll back up and imagine what I'm talking about. So when you click that, it's exactly the same as clicking the link at the top. So a nice feature when it comes to organising it. Right, you can also start categorising in here. So you have categories as in household, MacBites, finance. But let's go back to this bank statement one. And we'll add another one. And that can be for the mobile bill. And we'll add another one for the electricity bill. And do we have gas? Well, never mind, we have now. Okay. And I'll just make sure that we know that that is electricity bill. Right, what we've got at the moment then is a category of household and a category of MacBites and a category of finance. But you can also have tags. So the bank statement is household, but these three have another commonality in that they are utility bills. So if I click on that, we have labels. And you can use labels in two different ways. Which is you can use the labels as is, where they're just a colour. Or you can actually create a label that has a colour. And what I mean by that is, let's say these are utilities. So I want to create a new utilities label. It's money, so I think I'll make it green. So I've created a label that's not just a plain green one, it actually has a name. This is very reminiscent of what we do in the Mac OS Finder when we create tags. You can have blank colours that just say green, blue, orange, red, or you can actually give them names. So I'm going to put on there the mobile bill. I'm going to tag it as being a utility. Okay. When I come out of that, it now has a little strip on it telling you that that is utilities. The electricity bill could do with being the same. And this way you start to organise your content in like 3D space. That one, it's household, but it's also utilities if it's green. And then you would do the same over here. So I think we had, what did we have? What was it called? After hours topics. There we go. And in there, this is in a category of MacBites. The column is MacBites. But over here, I could create a label. This is after hours. So I could create a new label, making it the dark blue that we use, and putting in there after hours. And then create that. And that is now tagged as after hours. In here then I could put like a new MacBites. Mustn't get Jonathan overexcited. He might wake up if he hears that. Right, and in here, go into there, make a label for that. So create a new label, call that MacBites, and make that orange and create. And that has now got that on it. Let's say that that is MacBites. I can't remember where we're up to now. It could be 137, I can't remember. Right, and this one, of course, would be the MacBites Live for WWDC, 7th of June, don't miss it. And Alive, what should we have that one? Well, I think we'll make that red. So I'm creating another new label and I'm putting in there that that is a MacBites Live with a red tag and create it. So they're all MacBites, but they're slightly different and I can filter for this. So over here, we have the ability to search the cards. So let's say I want to see everything that is after hours related. And it automatically hides all of the other cards. It tells you that there's 4 of them, but it only shows you the ones that's totally relevant. And I think this is slightly less. Let's take this search off it. There we go. This is slightly better for beginners. It's more visual, it's brighter colours. It's less intimidating than Notion, put it like that. Okay, so here we have built one in Trello. What I haven't been able to do in here, if you think about it, what you're doing is, instead of defining the table and then adding fields and fiddling with it, it's actually being quite constrained in what you can do. But if you go into it, it's like the mobile bill, there are things that you could do. So you could add a date onto it and set a reminder. So let's say that that is due the 29th and set a reminder for 1 day before. And you can save that. So you've added a reminder. That's the same as adding a column in Notion. But in here, there is a mechanism to do that. You could, if you needed to do something with this, put an extra thing in here. So let's say that is the May phone bill. So I've put a description in and saved that. I can then put checklists in. So with this, I could have like a payment checklist and add that. That puts me in an entire checklist that I can put in here and put items in. So check online balance, add that. Next one, check bill has arrived, and keep adding, whatever, pay bill, and add that. And then you have your payment checklist as well. You could mark that as, okay, I've checked that that's arrived. You can then, what happens in here is, if you look at this card, you've now got this reminder. So it's due later. You've also got this option here to tell you that there is a description on the card. And you've got a checklist icon that's also telling you that there are 3 items and one of them is done. So I think this is probably better for more beginners, is what I'd say. But we have built it. We have built it. It's less flexible in terms of views. But, as I say, it's completely free. It works fantastic on mobile, because if you think of each of those columns is probably the width of a mobile phone. So whereas Notion can be a bit awkward on mobile, as you're trying to swipe backwards and forwards, Trello is fantastic. So that's why we're doing the same thing in different apps. We will have to find out from Pete which one he picks in the end. Okay, got any questions on that? It doesn't look like it, does it? Hello and bye, Stephen. Bye. Okay. Right. Okay, then. Let's come out of there and go back into there. Right. We have some freebies. We do. I picked these specially for a little bit of a demo that I'm now going to do, which is Envato Marketplace has some freebies on. And one of them that I thought might appeal nicely here is some animated slides for PowerPoint. Normally these things sell for $14, but for the moment, until the 31st of May, they are free. You do need an Envato account, but you can have a free Envato account. So go check that out. Have you been able to put the link in, or didn't it like that either? Do you know what does blow my mind with that Tech Sniper thing? You could see it, so you thought you'd posted it, but it just didn't show it to anybody, which isn't helpful to neither man nor beast.
Has that one come through?
Yes. They don't like you carrying Mike. That's the thing. So that's particularly free. We're now going to talk about Envato Elements, which is a paid-for subscription service for assets. The reason we are talking about it is, I think I've mentioned it before, and I do think young Johnny subscribed via work. It is a subscription service, but we're looking at it particularly in relation to whether it is better value than the one inside Camtasia, where you pay TechSmith, or the one from ScreenFlow, where you pay ScreenFlow. In my opinion, these are better assets, and there's more of them. The assets that you get with TechSmith and can't for life me remember the company now. TechSmith, Telestream. The assets that you get with those are concentrating on one of a few things. So we will go in and we will actually have a look at that. So let's get back our Vivaldi and get a new tab. So if we were to go to TechSmith, you have 2 ways of getting to the assets that they offer. So in their products, they have Snagit and they have Camtasia. And you will see that there is assets for Snagit and there's assets for Camtasia. So if we go and have a look at what we actually get with these, the benefit of these is some of them are completely free, but not many, not enough. So in here, you've got things like templates, or you've got themes, and these you can download. Oh, there's a birthday one. Right, and it will actually show you a preview, and you could, if it's free, it's one that you can download. But as you start scrolling down, you know, the majority of the really, really nice ones are not free. That's templates, and they are Camtasia templates, so they would potentially be handy to have. The themes are Camtasia-based things. The device frames are Camtasia-based things. So those are fantastic. You know, they would be really nice to have. But when you look at the assets as a whole, the standard assets that you get, they tend to be photographs. And they tend to be exactly the same ones that you get with Telestream, with ScreenFlow. So in here, in your products, there's all kinds of stuff in here. ScreenFlow. And in there it should have some resources. Is it in resources? Where are you? Here we go. So ScreenFlow itself is $129, but the super pack with the assets is $175. Now this one is much better value because you will pay $180 from TechSmith, which is why I'm suggesting an alternative. With the ScreenFlow ones, it tends to be video and graphics. It doesn't tend to be stuff inside ScreenFlow, where they've pre-built you lower thirds and stuff like that. It tends to be much more standard. The ones that you get with TechSmith, as you can see, these are based on what you might want in your videos, and they are made for Camtasia. But you could probably do that and do that a lot cheaper. So I will use this one, and I will go and look at Elements at Envato. Right, Envato Elements is slightly different from other sites that Envato have. It's a sub-site. So, for instance, if we go to Graphic River, there we go, where this is hosted, it's Envato Market and not Envato Elements. And my mouse pointer has vanished. Mouse pointer totally vanished. Ah, come back to me. There you are. Right, this one is slightly different. The items in Envato Marketplace are priced individually. So if I wanted to maybe find, what would I be looking for in graphics? Let's say I want a Keynote file, Keynote presentation. I can put that in and it will come back with a whole range of stuff, and you can see the prices of them. Now, I would say, you know, $12 for these, it's probably worth it because they are so advanced. They've got so much stuff in them. It's unbelievable. So if we just look at this one, it's $12, but look how beautiful it is, and look how many slides are in it and all the rest of it. So there's 2,000 icons, there's 51 infographic slides, there's 2 aspect ratios, and the whole thing is there just for you to edit. So $12, probably worth it. If you do that once in a year, then spend the $12. But if you need to do it more often than that, for demonstration purposes or whatever, because some of the things that you've got in here as well, let's put in InDesign. Now, you won't get keynote presentations, you won't get PowerPoint presentations, you certainly won't get stuff like this inside those subscriptions inside TechSmith and Telestream, because these aren't the assets that you need in there. They are giving you video assets, audio assets, and pictures. But stuff like this would work in Publisher. All of these would work inside Publisher. And you can see they're not badly priced, these things. $8 for something, or $19, and that's a really expensive one. You know, they're not that bad. And as I say, if you need it once in a year, then just buy one. But if what you need is to have access to a very wide range of stuff, often, where are we? Where's my file? There we go. That's what I'm looking for. Envato Elements. Then Envato Elements is your friend. Envato Elements gives you access on a subscription basis per month, which I think last time I checked is $14, which is Is that 168? No, it's not. Should do the maths. 12 times 40. 168. Good grief, I was right. For $168 a year, $14 a month, it gives you access to everything. You don't pay for anything extra. So if we were looking for Samoids, because we always looked for Samoids, so we'll look for Samoids. Oh, good grief, that looked like my boy. Oh, and that's Lola, Grumpy, Little Miss Grumpy. Oh, that's a definite girl. Look at the face on it. It splits them up into photos and tells you there's 338 photos. There's also video of Samoids here, which I've used in demos. Aren't they cute? Now, in this case, because I've been very specific, I didn't just say dog, I said Samoid. We've got video and we've got photos, but we don't have anything else. But if I was to go a bit more generic, so Mike's doing something on infographics, and I'm thinking it would be good to have some slides that fit with that. Now when I look at the category. I have stock video, 2,500. Video templates, music, sound effects, graphics templates, graphics themselves, presentation templates, photos, fonts, add-ons, web templates, WordPress and 3D. So what it's doing is showing me the top category and then working through as I go. So if Mike says, yeah, it looks something, or like, let's say it's something to do with coronavirus, then I've instantly got a coronavirus presentation. Let's have a look at that. Oh, it's a graphic. That saves me drawing anything. And it costs me nothing to download that above the subscription that I already pay. Let's say I do want infographic, but I do want it about COVID. What have we got on that? Now we've got a whole range of them. We've got graphics templates, we've got presentation templates. You need to do a presentation at work about COVID. Give yourself a fighting chance of getting the job done. So if we look at that, that's the overview of it. And all I need to do, because I've got a subscription, is download that. And it will be in the download folder. So let me go get the download folder. I get a zip file, which I then unzip. And then that is what I've got inside of it. And I've got that presentation with a help file, which is very nice in itself. Right, how to use it. And I've got all of the different colours. So let's say I want to do that with a teal one. You see I've got PowerPoint and I've got a Keynote one there. I've got lots of different PowerPoint files. And I've got this Keynote file. Now I'm running PowerPoint, so I'm going to open the Keynote one. But everything that you need for that presentation is in there and the whole thing's editable. And it doesn't cost you any more than the subscription. Oh, I'm doing good because I am taking vitamins. There we go. All the options that you might need. So I remember Pete doing a presentation like this at the beginning of it and needing graphics from all over the place. This is a good way to work with that. So even if it's just a starting point, even if you don't want it to look anything like that, it's a good starting point. So that's a Keynote one. Now obviously what we're talking about is replacing a subscription for video. So if we look at stock video, and what we'd be looking at in there is maybe something for yoga. What have we got in stock video for yoga? And we have all kinds of stuff. And if we hover over this, it will preview them. So if you wanted this for B-roll, stuff where it could be you or it could be somebody else, you've got access to all of that. And what I'll say about this is it is high quality stuff. And there's probably more on yoga in here than you would get in either of the other subscriptions. Now, what I will show you, should we try this yoga-y one? Right, let's try that. We can download a preview, which is a low quality one, edit it, see what we think of it. Or you can just go and download the whole thing. So I will just download that. Now, by putting a tick in the project, it gives me the license. And the license terms are there. And it shows you about licensing, what you need to do with it. Basically, you just need to put a tick in the box when it comes to what project you're using it for. So I'm just downloading this as a demo, so I'm going to put that one. And that gives me a license to use it. You can see where this stock comes from. So this one's coming from Stockwood. What I found with the other ways of working with that were that that the stock you got, whether you were in TechSmith or Telestream, was the same, which made a mockery of paying for both, for sure. But I just find that Envato Elements is probably a better bet. Does it have a sewing needle? Are we talking about in here in the videos? Let's have a look. I don't know if we are, but if we are, there you go. All kinds of stuff. All kinds of stuff. It is very, very good. Now, although this is behind a paywall, you can go look at it and you can go search, do as many searches as you want. And if you find stuff that's like, I'd like that and I'd like that, then you can work out whether a subscription would work for you. You could just take it for 1 month and download everything that you wanted, which would be another way to go. But hopefully that has helped Sarah, because that was Sarah's question. Right, I'm going to sort out over there. So are you ready to rock and roll?
Yeah.
Excellent.
When I've pressed record.
Oh yes, do that, Mike. Do that. Right, so I'm going to go back into there. Because, yes, I read it as well. Still no unicorns. But I found a way. I'm loving that unicorn. Right, let's head over to Mike. Away you go.
Right, am I sharing?
You are.
Can you see me screen?
Who
Next
spent
slide,
a day with
please.
the Catenians?
Next slide, please. Right, let's be serious. No unicorns. All right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how I built that infographic that you see there. Now, that infographic, as you probably can guess, is connected up. Certainly the hexagons are connected up to the cells, because you could do that in other applications. You could probably do that in Affinity. You could certainly do it in PowerPoint, but not if you are connecting it to the cells. So that's where Excel comes in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by deleting that. So now you've actually seen where we're heading. Just to show you the formulas. What the formulas are doing are they are combining the data that is in columns A and B. So this is showing how much I earned. It's not true figures, but how much I earned in a year from the different activities that I do.
You need to earn more than that to keep me in the luxury to which I am soon to become accustomed.
This is very true, and keep Lola in dog biscuits.
The way she's going through them, absolutely.
Yeah. So so you can see that there's 5 different or 6 different activities. And the revenue that each one of those is bringing in, and the total on row 8. And then, as I said, I've done some formulas to combine those together. The how I earned 155,000 a year is a combination of how I earn plus the total plus the a year, and the 6-figure income is a formula that is basically counting how many digits there are in column B. Converting it to a word and then sticking the words figure income on the end. So that's that's how the formulas work. Let's do the visual bit of it. So this is what we do. We go to Insert, we go to SmartArt. And if you've not used SmartArt before, SmartArt is basically, I would call it business diagrams, but you can use it for a lot more than business diagrams. But it's an easy way to create some kind of diagram or graphic or visual. As we go through these different categories, you can see the sorts of things that can be produced. The one that I want to use for this demo is a cycle, and there's a number of different types of diagram in there, and you can use these as a starting point. They're not necessarily the finished article. I used to use that one when I did PowerPoint training. I still do PowerPoint training actually, but I haven't used that particular graphic for ages, but it's to show a kind of process. But the one I want to use today is that one, hexagon. So select it, click OK. And let's move it over there. And we could also make it a little bit bigger. There we go. Now, the problem you've got with SmartArt is you cannot link the individual elements, because these are individual elements, they're clickable and selectable. As a piece of SmartArt, you cannot assign any one of those elements to a cell. So if I wanted that one to say delivering training 50,000, you'd have thought that you could click on that one, click in the formula bar and reference D2. You can't. So what I need to do is convert this to shapes. So the SmartArt is the starting point, and I'll go up to the SmartArt design menu and click convert to shapes. So now these are individual shapes. Now if you're thinking, well, what was the point of that? It's a lot easier to use that as a starting point than to have to draw all those yourself. So then I'm going to delete the bits that I don't actually want. Literally just select these kind of shadows, I guess they are, and delete them. And then I can start adding in the text. So I'll click on the first hexagon. Now I can click in the formula bar, type in equals, click on D2 and press enter. And that gives me the text from D2. Do the same thing for the next cell. Click on D3 and the next cell. And it's pretty much rinse and repeat all the way through. So that will be the next one and the next one. That was that one, I think, wasn't it? Consultancy. I've got side gig as well. If there's any of these that you wouldn't use, you can delete them. Obviously at that point it leaves a big gap, but if you actually deleted it whilst it was still a SmartArt shape, then it would have shunted everything around and just left you with 5 of those hexagons. So I might as well fill in all 6. So if you are going to, if you are going to reduce or increase the number of shapes, then do it before you convert it from a SmartArt to just a shape or a set of shapes. Okay, so let's now go and change the text color. So let's make the text color white. So with that shape selected, make the text color white. And let's change the background color of the hexagon. Let's make that green. I want to do the same thing for all the other hexagons, but rather than doing it one at a time, I'm going to click the format painter and then click the hexagon. And that just copies the formatting from that to that. But rather than going to click on the format painter 6 times, if I double click the format painter, now it remains active. Just saves me a bit of time. Whilst I'm at it, I'll also make the font a little bit smaller. I guess I should have done that initially, because I can now take the format of that and apply it to all of these. That's still a little bit too big for the word consultancy, so you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to make the shape a little bit bigger. There we go. There we go, that's better. Okay, for the center one, what I want that to say is 6-figure income. So I don't actually want the total, I want that to say 6-figure income. So I'll click on that shape, type an equal sign, and click on that one there, D9. Let's make that text white. Let's make that text bigger. And let's make the background red. There we go. Okay, so that is how we can take a SmartArt as a starting point, break it up into individual elements, and then we can attach the contents of a cell to each element. That's the first bit. The next bit I'm going to do is add a graphic to the background. I was going to say before I do that, I will make that back into one shape. Because if you start, in fact, no, it is still one shape. Well, that's fine. I thought it was separate shapes, which it is separate shapes. You can drag these individual shapes around, but if you actually have the box around the lot, you can move the whole lot, which makes it a lot easier rather than trying to drag them one at a time. Alright, so let's add in a background graphic. So to do this, I'll go to Insert Pictures, and to save me going out to the internet, I'm going to choose Stock Images, and I'm going to search for sky. There's lots of sky images. I can't remember which one I actually chose originally. But you know what? I'll go for that one, seeing as it's there. Insert that. And it now says it's downloading. There we go, it's downloaded it. Let's resize it a little bit. And I want to send that to the back. So with that selected, go to Picture Format and Send Backward, Center Back. So that is now the background. Let's move that across a bit. And make it a little more transparent so it's not the focal point of the picture. So with the picture selected, transparency, and let's make it not so bright. And then I want to add in the man or woman with the board on it. It was a man in the other example, but I'm going to choose a woman this time. So insert pictures, stock images. I don't actually want to use the stock images. I want to go to the cutout people and search for board. And which one shall I choose? Let's choose that lady there. That will insert that. Let's just make that a little bit smaller. I think I need that smaller still. There we go. Now I can't type directly onto that board, so what I'm going to do is add in a text box. So insert a text box, draw the text box out, and set the text box to have no border. So with it selected, shape format, shape outline, no outline. And then with the text box selected, click in the formula bar, type in equals, and click on how I earn 55,000 a year. And that brings that through. So let's, what should we do? Change the font of that. So let's make that like a little bit of a handwritten font. What we got? Not sure I've got a handwritten font. Which one do I normally use? That one will do. There we go. Ooh, didn't. Interesting. Did that not take it? Okay, let's use the Lucida handwriting. Or which one did I just see there? There we go. That's a bit of a handwritten font. And we can turn that around a little bit, rotate it, and move it over there like that. Okay. But you notice that what's happening is that because I've moved the text box, in fact the text box isn't even the same colour as the board. It looks the same colour, it's not quite the same colour. And also as I moved it that way, it is over the top of the lady. So I'm going to change the background colour, the shape fill, to no fill. And that's much better. You know what's missing?
Unicorn.
Exactly. I was going to say, you know what's coming next. Insert icons. Unicorn. Pick the unicorn. Insert. And let's drag the unicorn over here. And we'll set it to be a pink unicorn. There we go. And then I'm going to copy the unicorn and paste the unicorn and put the unicorn in each corner. And the dog's back. Okay, so we now have the 4 unicorns, just to satisfy everybody who was wanting a unicorn. But what I'm going to do is I'm also going to rotate these unicorns, because at the moment all of those unicorns are facing outwards. So let's take a couple of the unicorns and flip them horizontally so that they're facing inwards. So that one, let's do the same thing with that. So rotate and flip horizontal. There we go. So we've got 4 unicorns. So if I was to go and change, let's say I was going to change delivering training and change that to 80,000. That has changed that to 80,000. Okay, let's change these to really big values. In fact, let's just copy those down. We're still only on a 6-figure income, so let's change it to 500,000. Okay, copy that down. And now I've got too many digits for the column, so I'll widen that. So there we go. So 3 million. You'll notice now that it's now changed that to be a 7-figure income. So that shows you how, by changing the numbers, the formulas in here will update, and that now changes to 7 because it's counting the number of digits in B8. If I was to change this again, just to some really small numbers. Now, I didn't account for that, did I? I didn't account for 4 digits, but if I had, then that would show as 4-digit income. Okay, so are you ready?
Yep.
All right, so that is creating, I was going to say creating unicorns, creating infographics with SmartArt. Do we have any questions? Because my browser has disappeared. There we go, that's back.
Right, okay, I'll switch it back over here. There we go. No unicorns in Pathfinder, sorry. Yes, following up on our macOS Finder series, we're moving beyond the Finder now. Why might you want to pay, basically, to replace your Finder? So the one that we're looking at, or we would be, mouse problems, is Pathfinder. It's been around a long time, which is good, because you don't want something that just appears and then just as quickly disappears. It's also, the price has come down, which is surprising. The price was around £50–60, but it's now $36. That's the full price. I think the upgrade is even less than that. I think I paid half that. But it's also on setup. So you may already have it and not be aware of this. So go have a look and check. Right, let's have a look at it. Now, be warned. It looks very different depending on how you choose to set it up. But the overwhelming primary reason that I went for it was that I wanted 2 windows next to each other. I have no idea why Apple have not twigged that that's a thing, but they've not twigged that that's a thing. So I want to have this one area over here, which is looking at one, not just one folder, but if we look up here, I've got multiple tabs open within half of the browser, well, file browser. Over this side, I have another complete set of tabs, and the 2 are completely independent. So this one is looking at Dropbox and looking at Dropbox. So I have 5 tabs open, but they're grouped to be 3 on the left and 2 on the right, and you can manipulate them in any kind of way that you want. The other thing that was very important to me was that if I'm going to split the browser like that, the file browser, then I'm going to want to be able to preview stuff and it work properly. So if we go into, where are we? Oh, we're on that drive. So if we go into MacBites, we must have in here something MacBitesable, like Marooned. Look at this, edited today. Means I've been working hard, that. Right, so if I go into the source in here, these are all the source files for every day of Marooned, or at least every day of Marooned up to yesterday. From 208 up to yesterday. Now, in here there are files, but if I click on one of these, which is a folder, why it's important to me in here is these two things at the bottom. I have two different areas. I have this and I have that. Why are you not doing that? Oh, you got upset again. There we go. And the important thing for me with this is whatever is selected in here. So I'm selecting a 431. What I want to see in here is all of the info to do with what I've got selected. In this bit, I want to see a preview of it. And perfection looked like mirroring that from the left-hand column to the right-hand column. And that is exactly how I have mine configured. So I have these two panes at the top. This is the, well, to be fair, the whole thing there. Let's get the whole thing. Everything, including the tabs, is one side of my file window. And everything over there is on the other side of it. But within that, I actually have 1, 2, 3 areas. And over here, I have the same. Now, I haven't got anything selected on the right, so you can see it. But whatever I have selected in pane 1, the info for that is shown in pane 2, and the preview is shown in pane 3. I never, ever have this view any differently than that. So that's what you're looking at here. So let's have a look what that looks like with some data. So let's go back up here and go to the MP3s. And if I click on an MP3, you can see I actually get a play button at the bottom and I can play it. I get the artwork previewed and I get the actual file information over there. Good grief, day 17, which was March. And this is all of the info with it. So from there I can see the duration of it. It's the 17th track, the audio bit rate, where it's stored, the whole works. That was my number one reason for buying it. Was it your number one reason? Wanted a dual pane? I mean, back in the day when we did that, there wasn't even tabbed windows. You had to open multiple windows in the Finder.
I still do.
Oh, there's always one. There's always one. I'm not saying I don't use the Finder, but I find if I'm doing heavy lifting, organising stuff, or doing a particular project, it's actually way more beneficial in here to be able to do this. I will show you a project and you will then maybe understand. But let's have a look at the rest of what we've got in here. So, reasons to pay rather than use the built-in thing. I just think this has the feel of being an app about it, whereas the Finder feels like an afterthought. It feels like Wallace and Gromit's sidecar that Apple thought, oh yeah, you need to look at some files, aren't they? Stick that in, it'll do. The dual pane view is obviously huge for me, and the ability, I mean, what we've got there is dual panes and then multiple tabs within a window. We didn't even have multiple tabs within a window when I bought this, which was back in 2006. I love the integrated previews, but it goes a lot further than that. So I've slimmed down the items in the menu quite considerably, but the ones that are there are the important ones to me. So for example, if we open up another window, and I have severely cut this down, but it's in here, it's in local, and it's in ITV archive. So I've got some programs in here. If I click on this one, you can see we've got some dot files there. These are hidden files that I can toggle on and off with that button. Just that is fantastic. Really, why they don't do that, I don't understand. We toggle it on there, you can see it even clearer. These are hidden files. So there's cache files, there's the Adobe cache file, there's Dropbox caches, there's all kinds of things going on. that normally you don't want to see. But there are occasions when you do want to see those files to work with. And it's far easier, rather than running terminal commands and weirdy shortcuts, to make that work, just in terms of turning that on and off. And I love that. And you'll notice that turning it on over here does not automatically turn it on over here. You need to do it on a per tab basis, which again, it's just nice granular control that you have there. The other one that I have on there is that which is to preview it. I think that's because I didn't take it off, because it works on the spacebar as well. So just to show you, if we go to customize the toolbar, I will get rid of that because I'm not going to use that, but I might use some of the others, so I'll leave those there. You'll also see over here that there is a custom button, which is default folder, which we will be looking at in an upcoming week. Right, in here as well, let's go back to the source that we have here. These are all the source files for Marooned. So let's say I'm looking for when we did something specific like Scotland. I have the option up here to filter by name, and I can put that in there and it filters by name. It doesn't start playing with my mind, which Finder does. It doesn't start saying, oh, you probably want to search your entire system, don't you? No, guess what? I'm looking at that folder and I'd like to filter that folder, and it knows that instantly. You can change that if you want. You have options in here, and you can search by the name, just the extension, by the kind of it. You can choose where you search. So there's all of those options, but I guarantee you 9 times out of 10. In fact, 10 out of 10, I am going to want to look in the folder that I'm looking at. I just want you to quickly filter it. And it does. And it does it, it feels right. Whereas Finder just feels like it's herring off over here. It's herring off over there. Do you want to look at it? No, I don't. So I love the search on it. I think that's really useful. Right, moving down, everything that you see, every panel that you see. So if I draw around them all, you might not even be aware of them all. That's one. And that's another one. This area up there, you can configure. These are the tabs, so they belong with that. That belongs with that. But you don't have to have it looking anything like that if you don't want. So let's go through the configurations that we've got. We have this drop stack that I've turned on. So in your, just show you in your windows, you can see your modules. These are all the modules you have. And drop stack is one of those modules. So that one there marries up with that. And then I have recent files. Recent folders, which is down here. So you get to choose. There's a preview, that's there, and there's another preview over there. So you build up what you want this to look like by dragging and dropping these onto the background. What do you want? So if you want to see tags and ratings, you want to see the selection path. So the selection path is there. That is the breadcrumb link to these files. You can even see the permissions, and these are like you would leave them on permanently so you can see them. I set this up once at the beginning and I never touch it again. But when I set it up from scratch, I'm like, oh, where's the option for this and where's the option for that? Because in addition to dragging and dropping these into place, each one of them, when you do, like the info one, and as you hover over the name of it, you see the cog, which is going to let you individually drill down and change the preferences within each of these panels. So in here, this info, if I go across to it, you can see it's assigned to the left pane, not both, not the right one. And I'm locking the module onto this because that's all I want to see. I have got the header showing, but I could turn the header off. And then I've got what that actually looks like. So I could even drill down and change the size of the font if I want to. I can show a grid, I can use different colours. You can do a whole range of customizations. The one thing I'm concerned with this one is that it's attached to the left. The preview, so that's the info attached to the left. So as I click on that, the info here is showing me what's selected in this place here. This one, nothing, because there's nothing selected there. But if I hover over it, you'll see that's because it's locked to the right. But what if I attach that to the left? Then I see what's selected in the left pane. If you want to play with somebody's mind who's got this installed, but I'll just leave that thought there. Right, so I want that attached to the right. This preview here, I'll show you that in a minute, but there, when I go into that, same thing. Assigned to the left pane. Don't show me what's in the right, not interested. It would play with my mind. And that is how come I get the information for what's in the left pane and the preview for what's in the left pane. If for whatever reason you do not want to see the preview, but you would like to see something else, so maybe you would like to see the permissions or the processes or the recent folders or the sidebar. You might be thinking, why would I have a sidebar at the bottom? But you know, if you want to, you can do that. You can put the sidebar at the bottom. I used to love those panels flying out as well, Graham. They were fantastic. I will never know why Apple dumped them. Another one that makes no sense with that is Handbrake. You've now got an iPad float over, which on a 27-inch iMac screen is utterly ridiculous. And I used to love the side panels flying out underneath. It was great. But no, it doesn't work like that anymore, unfortunately. You might think, well, it doesn't make much sense having the sidebar, but you know, you can hide some of this stuff and you could show certain things. So you could come down here and see maybe just the tags, and then you could apply tags quickly. So not always a bad idea. But let's turn it back to the preview, because otherwise it will play with my mind, because that's how I have it looking. That's it, my one and only look. Right, but we were looking at, so just to show you that all of these can be changed. You can put whatever you want, wherever you want, move them around. The drop stack that I have at the top, that was a given feature and it was just there. Now, obviously, I can decide not to have it, but it is actually quite useful. So if we go... can we get to there quickly? I think we can. Although we'd moved it, hadn't we? Which was, again, playing with my poor little mind. Where did I have it? Google Drive. In my drive. And there's the black hole. And might drop the stuff for me. So if I sort by date, other way around, there's the document library and there's the documents that he had. So I can quickly get to that to show you that what this drop stack is for is when you're moving around your file system and you think, right, I need that file. You can drop it into that drop stack and just carry on working. Move around somewhere else, drag and drop that one. I've even got on here desktop. Let's go to the desktop. And this is the one of Renee. And I can put that one in there. So in essence, you can walk around your file system and drag and drop things into the drop stack. And then move them where you want to move them in one go. So you can just take these over here, put that one over there. Lola on the sofa, yeah, we'll have that one and we'll have this one. So you don't actually have to travel around your system and then, you know, like probably put them on the desktop and then you'll move them later. That drop stack is somewhere that you can put those files, move around your file system and then move them wherever you want later, which I think is incredibly useful. I don't use it as much as I may have done because I have other ways to do that. So for instance, if I wanted to move this one and I do some magic, I can have magic shelves appear to do that with. And then I can put that over there. I'll bring it back over here or decide that I don't need it at all. Those are apps that I will show you down the line. That's the only reason that I don't use the drop stack as much as I used to, because I have other ways to do it that I can use irrespective of whether I'm in Pathfinder or not. But that's the drop stack. Now the sidebar is just another area. Although it says sidebar, it's just another area. So I could put other stuff in here if I wanted to see the info. So I could put the info in the side if I wanted to. It's really flexible, but I think the power of it personally lies in when you set it up and it's perfect for you. One thing that I do set up, and I've turned it off deliberately tonight so I can have the glory moment of turning it on, and it'll make me feel much better. But one of the things that Pathfinder's always had a bit of a scrap going on with Finder. in terms of, oh, Apple have done that, but we don't really want to do that. They give you a lot of options, And one of the best is available in the options for the sidebar. So this says assign to path and it's a pane, and it's assigned to both because I don't want two sidebars. I can lock it, can hide the header, and I can control what I actually see in here. So if I don't want to see recent documents, which is just under movies, I can toggle that off and it will completely disappear. And just turn it back on. You can turn it back on and then you can sort out where you want to see it later. You can change the size of the icon. So that's 18 at the moment, which I think is fractionally bigger than they intend. But the best one, by far. Oh, it's good. Coloured icons. So look at what we've got. Apple, bland. I like the download icon being green and things. Love that. And that you can do. Just put a tick in the box. And everything is back to how it should be. And my world is complete. It's more important to me in relation to the devices, I think, than even the favourites. Although it's nice to see Dropbox in colour, and the downloads in colour is just amazing. I probably need to change those favourites because I don't really use the music folder. Never go there. Never go to documents. Can't be bothered with iCloud. But the drives themselves, you can give drives icons. So just like anything else. So if we go to this 6 and we use Command and I, you can just go in here and replace that standard icon just by pasting another icon over the top. Sometimes that happens automatically with drives. So the Google Drive icon here is coming from Google Drive. And these three that we've got here, MacBites S3, Elaine Giles S3 and MacBites FM S3, these are S3 mount points. And so behind the scenes of MacBites, that's what it looks like. Behind the scenes of mine, anything that goes into the newsletter will go into the newsletter assets thing here. So these have all been used in the newsletter. So I love that. I can see the A on them and I know that they're mount points. Whereas this one at the bottom is all the assets that I've got from the course that I'm doing. So that's a separate drive entirely. I always have an 8 terabyte drive and its twin attached. So that's what I've got there. We've seen that one. And there's a scratch disk that's got all kinds of rubbish on it that I don't need to back up. It's just sling it on there and I'll deal with it later. But just turning the colours on. Oh, yes. Particularly the downloads, but the drives. So who else loves seeing colour, whereas Apple don't like us seeing colour? Is there no way I could have an affiliate link or referral code? Well, it's in setup. It's in setup. I wish there was a way, Kim. You could use my setup referral, but I don't have setup. So there's a bit of an issue with that, isn't there? Right. So the colours I do turn on, that is very important to me. Some of the stuff that's over here, like the recent folders, I don't show it, but it's there. So you could show it if you wanted. These are all the ones that I've navigated through. I never really use that. I might consider losing it. And then there's searches that are saved in there as well. So if you want to see all of the PDF documents that you've used in a certain time frame, you can do that. So the search is fantastic. Love that side of it. Kim likes the colours. Debbie likes the colours. This is how it should be. This is how it should be. But I did wonder if Apple would change their mind. But having seen Biggles, no. Now on Biggles, I've got 3,000 white icons and one black one. It's the black sheep of the Biggles family. Right, so when it comes over to the next bit, which is this bit here, this skinny little bar at the top. The skinny little bar at the top is giving you a view of your file system, starting with your home folder, but including Google Drive. If you then move to documents, that's showing you everything that is in your documents folder. And if you carry on going, everything that's in your music folder, everything that's in your movies folder. So it's a really quick way to navigate through your entire file structure. If you use those folders much, I don't that doesn't get much use. I'll be honest with you. It doesn't get much use, that lot. I mean, I can't see this application's being much use at all, can you? It's just too much in mine. Far too much. Look at it. In fact, it's that slow scrolling. No, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. It's going to have to be left alone. Yes, Renee, you are there. Carol missed how to turn the colours on. Right, in the sidebar, there is a cog. So I will draw you where the cog is. It's up there. But it's only visible when you hover over it, like that. You then click on there, and you come down to Use Colour Icons. And you can toggle that on and off. And I like that turned on. Okay, we've got any other questions while we're in there?
There's a few.
Can you get Finder off the dock and put Pathfinder in its place? Oh, Kim, there's a rabbit hole. Yes, you can. Would I recommend it? Probably not. It can do it. That was one of the things where I said they're in a constant battle with each other. In the preferences, you do have an option to do a total change. Whether you use it as... you would need to launch it at login, and you would need to set it as the default file browser. And then it tells you what that would actually do. I have never done that. I tried it once on Tiger, and it didn't end well. So I left it alone after that. I think there's far too much reliance from other applications on using the Finder. And I'm quite happy to just run Pathfinder as and when I need it. One of the other options used to be changing the desktop. I don't do that, no. I much prefer applications to play in their own little space and not try and replace one with the other. But it is an option if you want to try it. Yay, Carol's got it. Fantastic. What are the arrows just before the date? You've just pressed them and stuff has disappeared. Hang on. The arrows before the date. Where am I looking? Where am I looking? Oh, these arrows here. Right. I've never used those. Let's have a look. Where's that taking me? It's taking me into the archive. It's drilling you down. So when you say stuff's disappeared, if I'm looking at this areas here, and I click on that, it drills you down into areas. You can see where you've gone from the top with the breadcrumbs. So I was here, and I've clicked that button to navigate down. And all it's doing is navigating you down. So if I do this, you can see this increasing. Let's go down to MacBites, and there they are. So that's all it's doing. It's navigating you downwards. Right, all of the options that you would expect in terms of the columns that you've got, you can turn the columns on and off. So one of Mike's requests, if you remember, was to sort by label. Now, I haven't got any labels on these, but I could have. I've probably got some tags down here. So if I make one green... Oh, that's actually showing me all the green. All the green on here. That's not particularly useful as far as I'm concerned. But what I could do is I can tag these things up from here. So let's tag them all differently. We'll have 2 green. And we'll have some other ones like that. And then you can use this column to sort them. And once they're there, you can then use that to filter them as well if you want to filter for that. But what Mike was doing was sorting them. These labels meant something, and he wanted to sort it by label. But for it to work, you have to have that column visible. You can also drag the columns about. So very similar as you would with anything else. And then you can sort by them. And it's not just the label. You've got all kinds of things in here. The full path, ratings, tags, versions, all sorts. So these are the columns in the top half, and then in the bottom you get to choose how you're sorting them. So you can see I've sorted by label. If you want to search them by name, you can just click on name in there, or you can just click on the title of the column. And if you then don't want to see the labels, then you can toggle those off. That looks hideous, doesn't it? And the thing with this is there used to be a lovely way to do this, where you just said get rid of all the tags. Now you've pretty much got to go in and get rid of them individually, and it's an absolute pain. Right, now I'm adding red. What colours are these left? I've got that one, and it's just adding them. Oh, please make it go away. Right, let's just click that one. I can't. I know Renee uses colours a lot, and I'd love to. I never quite trust it. Just don't trust it quite enough. Now, what we do have in here is multiple tabs. So we've got our Dropbox and we've got our MP3s and our source. So what I do in here, let's fold up some of these. We're getting distracted by some of these. Let's hide that one and hide the tags. Right. When I'm processing files, as I did today for Tracy, right, is I'm starting off, so we'll start at the edge over here, and the first thing I need is the source files. So these are the source files for Marooned. The next thing I need is the actual file that I'm going to edit it into. So let's get these out of the way. We'll put them back on the desktop. Out of the way. There you go, Renee, you're feeling better now. Right, the next thing that I need, and this is like a little bit of a tour through Para as well, because I'm starting off at this level. So some of this is on the number 6 drive, and some of it is in Dropbox. But if you look at the root of them, this says inbox and it has the drive name after it. The Dropbox one just has inbox, but the rest of it is the same: projects, areas, resources and archives. So in here I will go into areas, and in my Dropbox I would go into areas. You'll notice not the same. So if I pull this over here, proving the point that you can drag these from side to side, if I put that there, you can see that although I have areas on my number 6 drive, and I have, oh, they do actually match. Oh, how unusual. It's not usual that they match, trust me on that. Let's have a look at Google Drive. Doesn't quite match Google Drive. We've got some extra folders. In the areas, we've got a lot more stuff because Google Drive is where stuff lives. But the Para system works. They don't have to match, only at the top level. You don't have to worry about the rest of it. So over here, I need, on my number 6 drive, I need to be in MacBites, I need to be in Marooned at MacBites headquarters, and I need to be in source. The next place I need to be is in Dropbox. So I'm going to drag my Dropbox one back, because the next thing I need is, again, in areas, it's in MacBites. You'll see that this has different contents, right? Even when we're at MacBites, top level, different content. But that doesn't matter because I can find anything I need in that system. And what I need in here is the Marooned at MacBites headquarters episodes. And what I've got in here are the Hindenburg files, the full quality backups, and the M4A and the MP3. And I'm interested in the Hindenburg files, which go back to 379. And go up to where I'm up to, which is there. So they're green because I've done them all. Haven't done today's. So what I would need with this, if that's exactly what I was going to do, I would then go into that, and you can see what I would need to do there is give that a name. So this is coming from me copying and pasting it. Right, so I've now got a file and it's named correctly. And over here, oh, would that I had the right data, but I don't. That's because it hasn't been moved from where it lives at the moment, which is in folder Audio Hijack. So my Audio Hijack folder is over here. Oh, this is going to be messy, but we'll do it anyway. I'm going to sort that by date and time, and this was when we finished the show. So that lot is the show. So I will make a new folder with that, and that becomes day 432. It then gets moved from there, but that would probably stress the system. So what I'm going to do is come into here and make a new folder, which is going to be called that. And that should appear at the bottom. And all I then need to be able to edit a show is to take the actual file that is the show, which is that one. So I am going to put that in there. That shows you that up here, when you're moving a file, it gives you a lovely progress bar, but you can hide it. Right, so there's the file for the show. So we have the source. We have this file. We're getting good here. When I've edited it, I then need the MP3s. but not the MP3s on there. I need them where they actually are. And where they live when they're published is in here, in the shows folder. So as I said to Tracy, we're up to 409, but I have done the others, not lying. Not lying, they're done. Just need titles for them and then they can go. So what I tend to do with Pathfinder in this regard is I work out what folders I need. I need constant access to that one, constant access to that one, constant access to that one. Let's take that one over there. And I probably have other things over here. One thing I probably work with a lot is the root of Dropbox. So probably the root of Dropbox, which is up at that level. So there's my Dropbox. And some others. Now the reason that I'm showing you this is, if you constantly work with a collection of folders, and probably you don't dance around like I do, but there's so much data and you need different drives. You cannot have all of this in the cloud. You're looking at maybe on a Saturday night show, probably about 60 to 70 gig of data that I need to wade through. So I can't have that in the cloud. By the time it's downloaded, I've lost the will to live. So they're all on different drives, but the beauty of Pathfinder is once you've set it up perfectly, if you're anything like me with a standard browser, an internet browser, it's like I'll just open another tab, I'll just open another tab. Then in the end, good grief, I've got 77 tabs open. But what you can do in here is you can go to File and you can go to Tabs. And you can save, well actually you can do two things. You can save the entire browser. So you'll see I've got a default one and I have a Marooned browser. And that's for when I'm editing Marooned. So with this one, let me say I'm going to save this one. And we'll call this demo. In fact, we could call this After Hours Demo. And OK. Now, what does that mean? Well, you can also in here, in addition to having a left and a right hand view of it, you can have multiple windows as well. So if I go in here and choose new browser, I can have a new browser and it will open with the same tabs. Or I could open a different one. So I can go in here and I've got a default one and I've got a Marooned one. So I will open a Marooned one. This one looks really different. Obviously, I've got a huge preview here, which I can bring down. But the reason it looks like that is it's usually working on my iMac. And you can see it's all squashed up. All kinds of things are happening with it. But that's to do with the fact that I've got it tiny on this screen at the moment. But these are all the ones that I would use. So I'm using my scratch disk. I'm all over the place. That's when I'm editing a full show. And I can just open up a window and then, yep, I can close that and have the tabs that I want available, which is just stunning. Trust me on that. Trust me on that. It's lovely. Right. The other option in there with the tabs is that you can save some tabs. So let's say I've got these 3 tabs and what I would like to do is have the ability in any window just to open up those 3 tabs. That's what you can do with the tabs. So if we say save the set, you've got all the tabs that are open, you've got a saved set. So we'll call that again demo. And then I'll know I can get rid of it. Right. So let's say I start moving these around and I start working. I think I don't need that one. And in this one, I want to go into the projects. And in that one, I want to go into the areas. And I've moved around all of these things. But I can go back and I can say tabs and it will add them all back, which is rather cool. So that's another good one, some of the stuff you can do in here, I'm going to need some demo files with, and I'm quite deep down in the file system here. Have we got any questions while we're at this? So the browser is just in Pathfinder. What browser are we talking about now? Renee, I made it to Elaine's desktop. You're a star, Renee. A total star. Oh, Debbie. I have over 50 tabs open in Firefox on my iPad Pro. I don't think I've ever done it on the iPad. I think, no, it'll crash. But I'm terrible. Terrible. Are we all talking here about Renee? the thing you've made spends an inordinately long time on screen. No, it's not embarrassing. No, get used to it. I love it, so it's got to be there. Right, there's other things that you can do with this. So let me get to my data. Where was my data? It's in the black hole, wasn't it? Which is in here. Black hole. Drops for me. Document library. Right. You have in here, when you click on it, you get the information at the bottom. Province events. Lovely. Oh, we're having some events, are we? Right, if you right click on here, you have the same option to get info, which is slightly different in layout, but the same information. So you've got your disclosure triangles, and you can drill down into each individual bit, and you can see the big info one at the top. You can do the swap icon from there with the copy and paste, and you can even get more info if there is more info to be got, which it doesn't look like on that one, but that actually is. I like the fact you can fold them up. The customizations in here are pretty stunning. Oh, it also works if you choose the whole lot and you bring your info up, and it will calculate just like it does in the Finder. So I think all the features from Finder that you would want, you will find that they are there. But the nuance stuff is fantastic. So when I right click, I've got new folder with selection, and it says 10 items, and those are the 10 items I've got selected. Or I can just create a new folder. And then I've got all of these options, which may or may not be exactly the same as in the Finder. Because when you go into your preferences are extensive. So these are the general preferences in terms of how do you want this to work. Do you want to use the default, when you edit a text or you want to create a text, do you want to do it in Pathfinder, or do you want to choose something else? And I've just left that alone for the moment. The most interesting thing starts in the browser options in here. So what folder do you want to be your starting directory? Now, I'm working out of Dropbox 99% of the time. It was an accident that we had 1 terabyte of space on Google Drive, and then we wanted one feature of Dropbox, and to get it we had to have 3 terabytes. So I said we might as well move production over to there then, and that's what we did. So I always want it to start at Dropbox. You can choose what happens when you click and reveal and all of the rest of it, and whether you open a new browser on launch. So there's all of these things. Where it comes into its own is this thing down here. When Apple redefined what a gigabyte was, some people couldn't get used to it, and we had applications that were showing different sizes. So in Pathfinder, you have a choice. You can do it the new way with a base of 10, or the old way if you want to change it. You've also got the ability in here to create a smart sort order. So if, for example, none of these are enabled, I'm not bothered. When I first switched to a Mac, I found it nigh on impossible. I kept thinking the folders should be at the top. The folders should be at the top. But I got used to it. But if you do want to push the folders to the top, then you can do a smart sort order, and it will do that. So if we go back in here and we create a new folder, and we call it ZZ folder, so it's right at the bottom. But in here, you say sort the folders to the top, it instantly zooms to the top. So if you're a recent switcher, or you just prefer folders at the top, you can do that really easily. I turned them all off because there was all sorts going on with packages and things. It would be nice with some packages, but some packages you don't consider to be packages in your mind. They're files. So if I think of Scrivener files, they're packages, but I want them treated as files, so I leave it alone. Luckily, there are other things that you can change, which are even more exciting. So you've got a whole range of things that you can configure in here. Dropbox will integrate with it. So when you install it, Dropbox, if you're using it, will say, will you install me properly? Which means what precisely? Well, if something is on Dropbox, so do we have a Dropbox thing on here? I'm not at all sure that we do. Let's go into Dropbox. Right, if we want to go in there and share it, or copy the Dropbox link, or view it, we need that integration enabled. But if you are using Dropbox, to have that integration enabled is fantastic. Love it. I did have a problem a couple of versions back. It kept losing its connection, but it's been okay since. Now, all of these options in here configure elements within Pathfinder. So it can create zip files, it can unzip files, and these options relate to what happens when you do that. You've also got the network. You could have Pathfinder handle FTP for you. Now, I have an FTP client, so I don't need that. I've turned them all off. But you could do if you wanted. Then you've got a whole range of shortcut keys. I love it when an app understands that I may want to change the shortcut keys. There are naughty, naughty apps that don't. The one that bugs me to heck and back is ScreenFlow. There is a keyboard shortcut to start and stop a recording. I never, ever, ever, on pain of death, want that. But trying to tell it not to do it, it doesn't like it. So the easiest way is just to use Camtasia and be done. It's that bad. But in here, you can configure anything you want. So you can open up the menu, you can see what the shortcuts are, you can add more of your own, you can take away ones that clash with something else, or that you're never going to use. You've got complete control of that. As I said, it has its own text editor, and this is where you configure what that text editor looks like. Then you've got the desktop. This is to do with the question that Kim had, which is, can you have Pathfinder replace the Finder? And yes, you can. And this is where it's talking about whether you want to see the Pathfinder desktop and the trash can and the rest of it, but I personally would steer away from it. I think it's just too dangerous. You've got your ribbons, your labels rather, where you can decide what colour they are in light view and dark view, which I think is so good. I see people using dark view, and it does look quite nice sometimes. And I do use dark view myself on specific things. But sometimes the highlights just aren't good. They're either too garish, for a dark view, or I can't see them at all because they're that pale. But in here, you can totally configure that and then restore the defaults. So if in the light one, you want it to be much lighter, or you want it much lighter in the dark one, then you can do all of that in here. Just tweaking the icons, which I think is really good. I don't particularly play with labels much, as I've said, so I don't particularly worry about it. This is the one that floats my boat. What this is, it allows you to determine what is on the right-click menu. Oh, this is so good. The one thing I constantly do is this. I grab hold of some stuff and I want to say new folder with selection. That's not there by default. I know it should be, and you know it should be. Do you know what shouldn't be on the right click? Delete. Because you might just slip and it might just get deleted. But that's what you can do in here. You have all of the commands on the left-hand side. And on the right-hand side, you get to configure the contextual menu and the action menu. Now, that one's got eject on it. I leave the actions menu alone, not overly bothered about that. But the contextual menu, I add the ability to create a new folder with the selection. And if I'm right, I deleted the delete option. Yes, I deleted it. There it is. It's over there. Because when I'm flying around with the mouse, one pixel out and I've deleted something and I might not notice. So I thought, why would you not have new folder with selection? Because by definition, I've selected something. My hand's on the mouse. I don't want to go to a menu and fish around for 10 minutes. So with this contextual menu editor, you determine what's on the right click. It's fabulous. I love it. Now, the compress option that you've got tells you that Pathfinder will make the zip files. And that's where it was using the options from the zip section of it, the archive section, the compression at the top, to do that. That's how you would actually do it. So if I were to grab these and right-click, you would see there would be a compress option, and that's going to make you a zip file. Oh, the options are just so good. You've then got your preview options. So do you want to automatically play video or not? Do you want to ignore tags or do you want to see them? Now, most people would probably ignore the tags, but somebody who's a developer would maybe want to see the tags, and you can choose the fonts of that. I never trouble the terminal in here, I must admit. I would open a terminal window. You've got your file operations, so don't create the underscore for copied files, whether you want anything that's copied to be verified. There's your file compression. This is the compression tool path. Okay, away you totally go. Right. And then you've got your Dropbox integration, which is literally just linking it with Dropbox. But all of those configurations make working with Pathfinder a total pleasure. A total pleasure. It does exactly what I want when I need it. And just the fact I can save layouts and things like that is such a time saver. If I know I'm going to be in MacBites editing mode, then I open up Pathfinder and I turn it into my MacBites editing center, control center. But if I'm going to be doing something else entirely, and particularly if that's going to be something I'm going to be doing on a regular basis, then I would create an entirely different window for it and open it looking completely differently. I've shown you the fact there are multiple tabs. All you need to do to get an extra tab, you can either double click or you can click at the side, and then you can choose whether you have an individual tab, just a new one, or those sets that we created. And in that case, it would open up what we had saved as a tab set. So you've got complete flexibility with this. It is stunning. I love it. I really do love it. I still do use the Finder, because it's just there, isn't it? The Finder's just there. With this, it's an app and I have to open it. But when I'm working like I have been, like producing 30 episodes of Marooned, it's a godsend. Because I don't think I could do that with multiple Finder windows that are flying all over the place. The Finder window never opens in the same place twice. It's never the same size twice either. But Pathfinder's much more predictable than that because it's actually an application. So, unless we've got any questions, I think we've covered Pathfinder. Good night, Renee.
Renee's going to bed, but I'm sure he's beaten Johnny.
Oh, no problem. No problem. You made it to the end. There you go. You made it to the end. So, you got any questions about that? Put them in. In the meanwhile, I will head back in here. So that was Pathfinder. As I say, it's about $36, but it's also available in setup. In the meanwhile, there's a deal on it at the moment. It's 20% off Pathfinder. Now, this came from the people who do default folder. And Mike's got... Have you got the link?
No.
It's in last week's show.
I was going to say it's in last week's
So you could go find it from there and copy and paste, Mike.
I did remember.
It was a mail that arrived in my inbox from the default folder people saying there's 20% off. And the code is DFX. So default folder X, DFX 2020. All lowercase, no spaces. And that will get you 20% off. Right.
I'm about to post that in the thing if it accepts it.
How do you get the two windows side by side? Do you mean windows or panels? Tell you what, let me come out of there and we'll go back into it.
Does that URL appeared in the chat?
Yes, Mike, it did. Okay, so if I go to new, and I've got this window that it doesn't like at all, does it? Because my screen's so tiny. Come on. Oh, come, never mind. Let's get rid of that and go back to this one. Close it all, go back to this one. You have the option. I usually have this on the menu bar. I don't know why I don't have that on the menu bar, but I usually have it on the menu bar. What are you doing? Come on, customize. Right, it's one of these. Dual browser. I usually have that side over there in case I just want a single browser. You can also do that from the menu. So if we go into there, dual browser is on view. So it's, or F1, I don't use F1 stuff, but you can do it that way. So you would literally toggle it on or off. Sometimes I actually do toggle that off and I just want a single pane. Then, of course, you need to think about what happens at the bottom with these previews, because now I've got two previews and they are both previewing. As I go through these, they're both previewing because there is no right-hand side, but you can just use that toggle. So I actually usually have that there. The reason I haven't is this machine hasn't been sat here that long, so I had not noticed it was missing. Good catch, Carol. Good catch. Right. Oh, Elaine for the win. I'm going to get back into here before Johnny wakes up. Right, what do we have coming up? Well, obviously, we're back with you next week. How is it the end of May again?
I was thinking that myself.
And it was a long month because there was 5 Sundays. Anyway, we will be here next week. episode 130. Unbelievable. But before then, we have Creating and Managing Assets in Affinity Publisher, and that is on Sunday. I know it's an early start in the States, but so worth it, because it wouldn't be the same without you, would it? So that's on Sunday, 3 p.m. UK time. The following week, we are doing the build with me. Still haven't decided what, but, well, actually we have, haven't we?
Yeah.
But it's a secret, and it's hard to describe. It's very, very hard to describe. So I think it should be an Affinity Publisher build with me. We'll just bill it as that, and we'll see how many people discover that on YouTube. Obviously, all the other stuff that we've done, so deep diving data merge in Affinity, we did working with images. That one's going like a bomb. People seem to love working with images. All of these are available on demand. Last time, hang on, freeze. Last time it was mastering textiles. So I hope you've all mastered textiles. From that came the Can We Do mind mapping. So one thing can always link to another. It's the Rome users in us that do that, isn't it, Mike? Because whenever I say I could do a linking that, it says, well, just use Rome. You're not a Rome boy, are you? I'm getting a dirty look now. No, he's not a Rome boy. Right, so available on demand. All of them are available on demand. And you can get there at youtube.com/Elaine Giles, where we have an After Hours playlist, which I update religiously after every show. You can get that by going to macbites.co.uk/After Hours playlist. We are still marooned at MacBites headquarters. We could be marooned for years, couldn't we, Mike, the way it's going?
We could.
The R rate's gone up again. So, as I predicted, I should run the country. You know that block of time I had on Thursday morning between midnight and 7? I could do it then. Because that's about as much effort as Boris puts in. I could definitely do that. Wouldn't we all rather live in a world that I organised rather than anybody else? Because I certainly would. But then that could just be me. But you can follow our adventures in Marooned at MacBites headquarters at that URL, where I am heading to be up to date. Possibly this weekend. Oh, the excitement. There's also a QR code there for your enjoyment. And all of that is MacBites FM. We love you guys. If you've love us or you have enjoyed anything tonight, found it useful, give us a like. Really makes a difference with YouTube. And there's my list, which is elainegiles.com/VIP, where you will get all the first dibs on everything Affinity related, basically, and everything else that I do. Whereas the MacBites list is all about MacBites things. So macbites.co.uk/MacBites-mail. Then, of course, there is the 24/7 party fest that is Slack, which I have been so dilatory with this week. Humble apologies, but you've seen my calendar now. So between eating and breathing and trying to catch 5 minutes sleep, it's been pretty busy. But I will be getting in there because it's where we carry on the conversation. So if you're not with us, do join us. It's macbites.co.uk/Slack. And there is the last slide, which means I can head in and do the Johnny thing. Because it's been called, hasn't it? It's been called. Excellent. Right, let me do the Johnny thing. I need to do that, and I need to do that, and then we do that. Oh, it's a big one today. It's 21. Are we halfway through the year? We are, aren't we? No, well, nearly. A few more to go. Be 22 weeks today. Now, where's that gone? Why am I not seeing what I need to be seeing to edit that? That's not good. That is not good. There it is. There it is. There we go. Way 21 to 2. Oh, Tracy's found toys that she didn't know she had. Kim says the quick calculating the R rate. Yes, interesting, isn't it? That's what I thought. I've noticed that when it was high, it was like, we've got to get this down. It's got to be under 1. And now it's 1.1. It's like, it's not bad. And I'm thinking, I don't understand this. We have had that many people having vaccines. How is it going up again? Is it just the people that have not been vaccinated that it's going up in? No idea. I don't think the government have any idea either. But there again, the government don't have much idea about much, do they? Never mind. Right, let's switch back to that, and that, and that. Hard luck, Jonathan. I hope you enjoyed the show when you wake up. Right, I'm in the chat now, so I can see things. Yay! Oh, yes, Peter. When you asked about exporting the file structure of directory, Pathfinder was mentioned. It was, wasn't it? And was this as what did you want it as? Was it like a PDF structure printout with indents? Remind me precisely what it was, and we will definitely do that. Oh, Carol's looking forward to that one. Is this one the build with me? Or assets? I wish the chat was in sync with what's on the screen, don't you? Because you come back and you're like, I have no idea what's on the screen when that was put in. You're very welcome, Debbie. Very welcome. Another great show. Glad you enjoyed it. Are we going to cover forklift? Oh, Graham, you're ahead of yourself. I thought we'd do forklift next week. I don't know why they bill forklift as an FTP client. I know it can do it, but it's a great file manager as well. And they don't kind of push that much. Oh, Kim says, thanks, guys. Wonderful show. Has once again emptied your pockets. Well, all in a good cause, I hope. All in a good cause. Right, so Tracy got Pathfinder in Mac Heist Nano Bundle 3. Wonder if you can upgrade it. What did I upgrade today? I upgraded one today, and it went 3 versions back with a kind of stepped pricing thing. So shall we have a look? Shall we go and have a look? Right, let's do that while I have a look. I upgraded as soon as they brought it out, to be honest. Right, Pathfinder upgrade Mac OS. Otherwise, you get a load of cars, which I'll never understand. Right. Let's have a look what it's got to say for its little self. That's not what I'm looking for at all. Here we go. Installation compatibility, blah, blah, blah. Oh, good luck, Graham. Fingers crossed for you. You're welcome, Sarah. Great show. Thank you, Elena Mike. Learned so much. Good. Good. Right. Okay, Peter, I will have a look at that. I am pretty sure that it used to do it. It used to do it. So fingers crossed. Right, let's have a look. Can we upgrade? Right. Right, what does upgrading from 6 to 7? That's quite old, isn't it? What if we wanted to buy? Shall we pretend that we want to buy? Where are you? Good grief. I spelt it right. We might actually get there. Right. Coco Tech. Right. Let's do the purchasey thing. Right. Purchase. Right. But what if we wanted an upgrade? Nah, you see. No, that's not good enough, is it? You can purchase... Right. Well, here's your problem, Tracy. To upgrade, you've got to do it. You've got to install Pathfinder 10 first and then do the upgrade from there. Which is interesting because... Was this version 3, you say? You'd have to try and get that version installed, surely. There isn't an option to go to their site and say, yes, you can upgrade. Might be worth pinging them. And saying, that you've used it on the same computer for years and years, you've never really had a need to upgrade, and now you do, and see what they say. That's probably the best way. I hate these apps where you've got to install them and then do the upgrade from inside the app. Because I'm like, I don't want to do that. Because when it comes up and you've got to put your credit card details in and stuff, I like it to be my browser. So it's not some kind of Google Chrome thing with more holes than a colander in it. But Pathfinder, I think I did have to do it that way within Pathfinder. They did go through a phase of doing the old activation thing that was an absolute pain. They got that much negative feedback. They released a new version, made it free for everyone that had bought the last one, and took away the subscription thing because that didn't work for people. At least they listened. So I'd contact them if I were you and see what they say. And when you do, let us know. Oh, what has Graham been bad with tonight? Cheese scone or scone? mint Aero, and a small packet of Cadbury's mini eggs, and 2 mugs of tea. That's like an average consumption for a show. There's nothing wrong with that. No one's judging, Graham. No one is judging at all. Oh, my word. Right, last shout for any suggestions for future shows or questions following tonight's show. The running order of which was changed at the last minute to include the Envato Elements thing. Because there's nothing like you're trying to make your mind up about a service. Do I take the one from TechSmith? Do I take the one from there? Do I take this other one? And you've not seen behind the scenes. But I don't recommend subscriptions like that often, but I am quite happy to recommend that one. I have no connection with them directly in terms of remuneration from it. I have done a couple of courses for them. But I just like the quality and the range of the stuff that they offer. There's no point paying the same amount of money and getting like 3 different types of files, when with Envato Elements you can get like 20 types of files. And they do keep adding. When I took my subscription, they didn't have audio. And now they have audio, which is just fantastic. I whip in there for sound effects. The series like to play around in there. So, yeah, happy to recommend that one. Pathfinder 6 for Lion. It should still work. Nothing wrong with that. It should do. I don't know whether you get it installed. I got it in that bundle as well. But I think I already had it, so I stuck with the license that I had. Did you updated yours, didn't you?
I think I did.
And I think you skipped 2.
I'm on 10.
I know you are now.
Yeah.
But
I was on 8.
Yeah, I think you skipped 1 or 2.
I was on 8, yeah.
8 and 9, not good, but 10's great. Okay then, it looks like we are all done. We will be back with you tomorrow night for Marooned at MacBites headquarters. Following that, we have Brooklyn's 196 by request, where the theme is...
Luck and money.
Luck and money, because it's Lucky Penny Day. It's amazing how many of these days they have. But luck and money, that does not limit you in any way, shape or form. Trust me on that. We've already had a load of suggestions and they're great. So come along if you want to listen to some music and inane chat, which works rather well, doesn't it? That's pretty much every day. And then on Sunday, of course. So hopefully you'll be able to join us on Sunday. But for the moment, I'm going to say good night from me.
And good night from me.
And we will both see you next time. Stay safe, guys.